y'all. We're going to go over a lesson today that's going to cover a wide variety of issues, not to the point that where there are problematic type of issues that's causing mental divide or anything. What we're talking about is an understanding. So y'all, this is going to cover a few issues during these fall feast days. These fall feast days are very, very important, y'all, for us to keep. We just had the Feast of Trumpets. So now we got Day of Atonement coming up. And we have the Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all, so we have back-to-back fall feasts. Mal taught a good class on it last week. If you want to get in detail with it, just get online. Honor and Humility, and go take a look at it. Excellent class, breaking it down from start to finish.
Excuse me, Dan. Consider a high holy day when we back to back like that. High holy day.
No, a high holy day is when it falls on the Sabbath day. Because you got to, it's elevating it, so to speak. And I'm sorry you can say that. Pray that the second coming don't be on the Sabbath day either. On the flip side of that.
On the flip side,
yeah. So, yeah, it's really going to be a high holy day that day. Oh. So, y'all, what we want to do is get the understanding here of how one scripture can be looked at two different ways, but because the Bible is not the author of confusion, it will never leave one with a mindset of, well, that's what you believe. We can't have that under no circumstances. So what we have to do is now look for the consistency in the way something is flowing from start to end. That's going to determine which side you lean to, because that's the side that's more acceptable in the sense of the Most High, that the balance has been weighed out. I can defend this. If this side don't defend what this side is saying, if it can't get into these scriptures, if this side say light starts at the beginning or the day starts at light, if this side say it starts at dark, and both can find scripture saying both for each. Yes, and we're going to go over that. But it has to be the side chosen that has consistency of beginning, the middle, and the end process thereof. That's the consistent path. You can't go wrong with a consistent path. Because that same pattern, we need to see what pattern is going to play out in the end. We see it starting in the beginning, what's happening in the middle, and how does it end up. I don't care what you feel about this right here. What's the end result? Because that's where you're trying to go to. Go ahead, brother.
As far as matching scriptures, can it be judged off of many matching scriptures? One side has less matching scriptures than the other side?
No.
You can't go by that?
It can't go by that because I can go find 10 more, get lucky, Google the right thing. I got 10 more. We'll just be playing that chess game. If I got 2, it says 2 established. That's all I need is 2. I don't care if you got 522. If the 2 that I have follows a consistent pattern from beginning to end, the 2 win. If the 500 are just spinning their wheel, and they got to go over here and they spinning their wheel, and I ask the same question. It's like Psalm 110. It ain't the Messiah. It ain't JC. It ain't Yahshua. Then who is it? And if that side comes up with 1,000, it could be. It might be. It should be. None of that matters because there's nothing concrete but what's written already that says this is the one it is. You can't move off of that, off of could be's, would be's, might be's. It's going to create a terrible issue for you in your walk. So that's what we want to get. And these deals are coming down to feast days, y'all. Y'all know what it is. The 3 most major topics that's discussed around this time is when does the day start? When does the feast day start? And when does the new moon start? Them 3 topics always gonna come up. Now this is the situation that we got. We ain't got no moon watchers down here. Nobody stands out when it gets close and watching that moon cycle and say, I'm going to report to the brothers. So we use an app. We use an app that tells us this is how far you are into the month. The problem is we're now dealing with people all over the world. They say we do it this way. We say we do it this way. And then another part of us is doing it this way. Two can't walk together unless they agree. We have to agree on which app we're going to use. Because the app we use has to include the entire world in the feast day on that day, as well as the Sabbath day. You have to include the whole world. This side is going to start the beginning of the Sabbath, but this side may end it. But they are going to be in their 24-hour cycle. If they're not, we're going to have issues and we won't be able to work together because he didn't make Sabbath days plural. He said it's the Sabbath day. And it's that day for the whole world. Jerusalem is 7 hours ahead of us. They've already ended the Sabbath, but we are still in the one that they started.
Because of what we're doing.
Right. See, but they can't be into a point of where they got out of the next one before we come into it. See, it's always going to be right there because they're hours ahead. And then, y'all, this is assembly talk we're talking. A lot of you can do your feast days at home by yourself with your family. But if you're a part of assembly and you're doing it with the assembly, everybody in the assembly have to be the assembly. Say it for me. Assembly. Have to be on the same page. And the problem is what we need to keep promoting. 60, 30, 2 weeks, the weeks of is what are our holy days coming up. Because guess what keep happening? On the day before the feast day. Man, this app say this. Man, this app say that. The problem is, it's on film somewhere out there, out in humility, that we agreed to moonconnection.com. That don't mean that has to be the one. But we have to agree on one, that when we're doing our holy days, this app is hidden. Oh man, we batting 10 for 10 with this one. We can't go to one that's batting 8 out of 10. And stay together. So, anybody know about any other one that's been accurate in what we're talking about to the dates that we can say? Because I see another one, it's like a St. Louis current one. It's kind of yellow and black. Moonconnection.com had the Feast of Trumpets coming in last Shabbat on Saturday night. Another one had it Friday night. And this is for our same camp. What does that cause? Confusion. And when is it causing it?
On the second day.
The day of. If you prep for the next day or the next 2 days and you find out it's right now, what you gonna do? Can you jump into prep mode that quick? But think about it when you was doing folly days. You saved your money, didn't you? Huh? And you knew the rules is this all you got me? And when you heard it, this all you got me, it was because you went and got it an hour before the deadline. You had to rush. You got the slim pickings. How you gonna bring your woman a WWE wrestling fan? Talking about it's authentic and in 10 years it's gonna be worth some money. You ran out of time. And we can't keep running out of time on our feast days right at the last moment. So y'all, as an assembly, when the new month comes in and the announcement is out there, we have moonconnection.com, and let somebody throughout this week say this one is better. But that's the one we agreed to. So we have to agree with this with Jacob and their other guy over in Israel that they say, I forget the ox name, that sees and watches for the moon. The only problem with that for us is that by the time they see it, it's that same day. How are we going to get prepped? We have to rent halls. See, we do it. A lot of people do online assembly. We do physical assemblies. You got to go get a building space, unless we get our own somehow, the Most High bless us, that's going to hold 400 minimum, 500. You got to get all of that prepared. You cannot do that and say, yeah, it's coming. Y'all got 6 hours, 7 hours to get that done. It ain't going to happen.
That's a good point.
It can't happen. And it shouldn't happen under that way. But if we use an apps, and apps are subject to change by 12 hours in between, because there are forecasts. So y'all, what we have to do, but this is what we're stuck with because we disobeyed when we had it, like, without having to worry about these pitfalls. Our ancestors. So now we have to keep it best we can, as accurate as we can. But when you trust in an app, it's like you're trusting the news forecast when they say, rain this evening, maybe spot showers. You get ready for that, right? And if it don't rain, what happens? It just didn't rain. You was ready though. So in like manner with our feast days, we have to be ready for the feast day. And to be ready, everybody have to be on the same page. So when somebody throw that out there, a mass email and say, this says that, and it's not correlating, and that what that means is then we're going to have to get an app monitor for our feast days. We have to. We have to have somebody to say, I am going to monitor it, and I'm going to ensure it gets out there so that we stay on point. We got to do it because it's going to be last minute. We got to get out of the mindset of, so say he having something over his house today. Everybody bring something. It ain't that kind of party with the assembly. You can't drag people into that form of getting together and we just do it on the spur of the moment. Right. That's what your house is for. But this assembly has to be clicking like clockwork. And it has to be, and that's not a hard thing we ask, and we just saying we need some more involvement with the body. And asking a whole lot. We know what's going to be set out, what certain people are doing, whatever. But just those small things like, I will watch the app, especially around feast day time, and I'll stay ahead so that everybody know where we at. Because if he say, I saw it, how can we prove that? That same app we use to track the moon, new moon in Jerusalem. So we have to compare what we're using with what they saying this guy, the Ak is seeing. And how do we verify which one is correct? Unless he's shooting us a pick over the line, right? All we got to do what? Trust that he say, I see.
And then it still ain't enough time to get ready.
It ain't enough time to get ready. So y'all, that's what we're talking about as an assembly. When we clicking on the, what they say, the same cylinder, that don't mean everybody's going to be doing the same thing. If we keep letting it get, or people that's doing certain things have to run back and grab that, this going to get left out. Understand what we're saying, y'all, is the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. We know how class runs. We should know how class works. If you see something that ain't done, we shouldn't have to keep repeating that over and over and over and over again. We got to have this done, because if this got to go, if I got to stop and go do that, that's going to slow this down. If he got to get up and go, that's going to slow that down. So y'all, we got other issues, different things we have to keep looking around and keep that rotation going on that door. Somebody look at their watch out, bro, I got you on the next one, I got you in the next hour. You can still hear the class out there. You're just not seeing it, and then you get to see it a week later, most high will, because it's going up online. But y'all, we got to get on one page, and I want to start with that Amos 3:3. Yes, go ahead, Seth. Last week, did we do the Feast of Trumpets? It came in, what, Friday night when I went in class last week?
Second one.
We got a situation as where online, what we told everybody online was what? Tuesday night?
Yeah, that was second. I told you.
For atonement. Is that what you're speaking of, or are you speaking of tabernacle? Atonement, yes.
Sunday.
Online, I'll double check with Jacob before this class is out to see, because we don't want to have that cross path. We can't do that with 500,000 people. So we got to come to a meeting, y'all, and this is why we got to get on one accord. There's nobody to blame for this. This is not a blame game. This is a fixed thing we got to do, and we got to do it immediately. This ain't no we can wait around. We got to get on the same page immediately, or somebody gonna pick us apart. Go ahead, brother.
According to Jacob, he's saying that Christ is going to beat him down.
And 11 is Tuesday, sundown.
Right.
Yeah. Tuesday, Sunday.
Is what did we say last week?
Tuesday, Sunday.
I'm saying, what did we say here last week? Was it discussed?
No, we didn't discuss it last week. No.
Well, since it wasn't discussed, we'll do it Tuesday. And y'all, this is what we have to do, because we said something publicly as an assembly. Then we'll work on this fix, y'all. Already talked to Jacob about it. We just got to talk to the boys in Israel. Me and Mally been chopping it up already about it as well. But y'all, we got to stay on point. Y'all see, they've been doing Christmas in July. And Halloween stuff already. They got offices at the job all decorated with skulls and crossbones everywhere. What we got? What we got? We on Facebook every day talking about Christmas coming, but we ain't talking about what's coming for us. That's a problem, y'all. You got to get that out of your mind. The people have to see you doing your holy days. Not just talking about what they ain't supposed to be doing. If we don't change that program, y'all, we're going to have problems, because they're going to always ask. How easy for them to ask, so tell me of this Day of Atonement. Yeah, go there, day. Well, look here, see. You ain't supposed to be doing Christmas. If you bail out like that, that's a problem. Because you know you're going to get the fan hand. You ain't talking about nothing. Then here we go, war of words. Name and sin now. Porky. Don't know your holy day keeper. Where we at? Amos 3:3. Verse 3:3. Amos. That's what say it. However y'all pronounce it. What? Amos. No, not like the cookie man.
Everybody there? Just want the one verse?
Yeah.
The book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
What did he just ask? Can two walk together except they agree? Y'all, the walk is the most important thing. You can walk without talking, and somebody can read what we call body language. Don't they do it every day? I can see the body language. He coming in here, he limping, but he got a bulge in it. He got a shotgun, a long gun in his pant leg. He finna do some killing up here in the mall. They own it. So in like manner, we have to walk together so that people know, okay, y'all walk together down there. So our speech has to be the same. Our understanding has to be the same with explaining both sides of the coin. Go ahead, brother. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wanted to hit that, y'all, to just get some understanding and how the Most High sent them out. Everything must be established with 2 witnesses. Everything, all throughout the Bible, must be established with 2 witnesses. So, y'all, the minimum is 2 that we have to agree upon. And if the 2 is, we agree on it, this body over the net agree on it, and them over in Israel agree on it, we got 2 or more, like it says. But we can't be a part of, say, we all together and only this group agrees on something that this group refuses to believe on because they're saying one of us needs a better interpretation for the pattern that's laid out from start to finish. I'm not talking about what your opinion may be. I'm talking about what you see consistently. Like you see children being born consistently.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing coming out of left field consistently yet that we see children being born. It's been from the start. A man and a woman, and a child is born. Ain't nothing else consistent like that on this planet. Yeah, they're playing around in the laboratory, but it's not consistent. Let's get to the beginning. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through 5. And y'all, this is the deal with what we're talking about. When does the Sabbath day start? When do certain feast days start? When does the day end and begin? And what ordinances or what heavenly influence dictate when the day starts and ends? That's what we got to get our understanding. And it's a side that's never, ever, that I've seen, I ain't going to say never, ever, but I'm saying covered in a point where you get a chance to look at both sides and say, I see a consistent pattern with this. And what we're talking about is in the night watch. How many of us know that there's a lot of things going on in the scripture that was taking place at night? Or what we would call at the beginning of another day. See, we think it's a lot when we try to put our minds back in Jerusalem because there wasn't street lights and different things. You know, everybody went in the house and that was it. The city shut down. Boom. No, there's activity going on like there's activity going on now. Don't it warn you about these places? Don't be caught walking down this alley. This woman may be waiting on you and pulling you in the dark alleyway. When do you think that's taking place? It's named in the same hours of the night. Ain't nothing changed. It's just the fact that we're not looking at that from a perspective of how things are consistent. And that's what we're going to do today, is get with the consistent, because I'm going to share some scriptures of those who believe that the day starts at morning. We're not going to belabor those because we need to get with this one. Those are out there already. This side we need to get understanding so we can get a just balance and make a decision. Go ahead, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Yah created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
And what was upon the face of the deep?
Darkness.
Okay.
And the Spirit of Yah moved upon the face of the water. And Yah said, let there be light. And there was light.
What was before there was said, let there be light?
Darkness.
So, and the Spirit was moving already. So it was things already, but it was darkness already. And light dissipates darkness. It's not the other way around. Darkness will never extinguish light. Light always extinguishes darkness, don't it? You know, it's always going to be light. And we're talking about before the sun and the moon was created right here. We're talking about light and dark. What could we be possibly talking about? What lights? We ain't got to the sun and the moon yet. We ain't got to the stars yet. What light is at the beginning of coming out of darkness into light? It lights of the firmament or the supernatural beings. Christ, these are the lights. It's light, it's a light side of the firmament and it's a dark side of the firmament. Those lights precede the sun and the moon. They play a part in how you interpret a scripture. Just like there are scriptures that talk about, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and it speaks of the land. Then it says, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and it's talking about the people. You have to understand that this prophecy, who is it talking about? Land of people. Who is it talking about in this particular one? And then you make a case for consistency. Yeah, it may sound like this. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. Hold this right here. I want you to come back to that Genesis. Give me Genesis 4:1. I'm going to show you what we're talking about, how to deal with consistency. From start, middle, and the beginning. Consistency won't be the middle. If you go discussing scripture with somebody and theirs is what we call in the middle, if they're trying to express themselves from Mount Sinai, you need to know that, because all you're going to be doing is wrestling against yourself if you don't get what was before Mount Sinai. They have to agree. Mount Sinai agrees with what was before it. We agree at the end or after Mount Sinai with the beginning and the middle. And we're on the end of it, but it's agreeable to the whole law. So killing in the beginning is the same as killing right now. And it's called murder if you shed innocent blood.
Yes, sir.
It ain't changed, have Cain was the first who?
Murder.
Okay, so we look on TV now. You see people, boy, just murder the police, didn't Nothing new under the sun. Where we at?
Just say 4:1. Genesis chapter 4, verse 1.
Yeah.
And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have begotten a man from the Lord.
So Eve knew Adam, and that's a sexual no, K-N-E-W. That's the same thing Enoch knew his wife when he got to Nod. He didn't find a wife there. He said he knew his wife when he got there. They left together at the land of Nod. If you look at it from the perspective it's talking about. Or if you don't believe he just found another wife, you got to explain who were the other people before Adam and Eve was created. You got to account for that. And if we say, well, if they say, well, it never mentions Adam and Eve had, who would have been his wife? Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve, who would have been his wife? Well, you keep reading, it says Adam had 33 sons and 30 daughters. So it's allowable in the beginning of creation, because there's no sin involved in there, in the point that where it would be degenerate and break down. When you start getting into the second and third generation of sinning, it's going to be a problem. As Brother Tydrell, y'all, we definitely, y'all, while we're here, got to definitely lift up prayers all day. Sister Kiana, mother of his children, is battling for her life. So y'all lift up prayers throughout the day. The Most High look down on and have mercy on her. How you doing, brother? Okay. Where we at?
Verse 2.
Yeah.
And she again bare his brother.
Go ahead, brother.
And Adam knew Eve,
Right.
his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain.
What did she do? It says she conceived. This is a key word. She conceived and bare Cain.
Right.
Conceive means to make pregnant. To make pregnant. That's what conception is. That was one of Eve's curses. You're going to have multiple conceptions. Go ahead, let's read some more.
And said, I have begotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
See, now Saul can say that means Cain and Abel was twins because there's only one knowing and we got two individuals. Then we got in the book of Jude, Enoch is the seventh from Adam. But if you count back from Enoch, Cain is missing. So could Cain belong to somebody else? All of those ideas are there. But we got to stay with consistency. You going down verse 2 on that? You finished verse 2. Okay, that's good. 1 John 3 and 11. Get that for me right there. And y'all, what I'm doing is just showing a pattern that makes you think and say, I got to go to work on this. If somebody asks me about this, how do I answer? Because it's going to seem like, well, man, that sounds like the Bible contradicting itself. It tells you in Corinthians, I'm not the author of what?
Confusion.
Confusion.
What did you say, 1 John?
1 John chapter 3, verse 11.
1 John chapter 3, verse 11.
What it say?
For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning.
When did we hear this message?
In the beginning.
Every matter, if it's not taken back from the beginning, if there is a lot of saying, well, I believe it this way, I believe it this way. The best way for us to do is go back to the beginning. It's the best way. Let's start over and see where is that. You break up, what's the first word come out of your mouth? We what? Start over. Right? We start over. We trying to go back to what had us smiling at each other and holding hands and puffing. But you now won't even walk down the same aisle with the same. Go back to the beginning and let's see how to fix where we at right now. Let's read some more.
Verse 11 again. For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain.
Not as who?
As Cain.
Where do we know Cain from? Beginning. Okay, go ahead.
Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one.
Who was of what?
That wicked one.
What does that sound like when you look at that?
Sound like
Not as Cain, who was what?
Of that wicked one.
Go ahead, read some more.
And slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous.
You can go right here. So now, somebody was, man, this sounds like right there. But Genesis 4 say she knew Adam. This right here saying what? What's going to work for both of them? Because she also said, I have gotten a man from the Lord, not a husband. So is it spiritual? Because if we back up a few verses on this 1 John 3:11, you'll see there's spiritual seeds always at the beginning. It's first before it's ever physical. Spirit overrides, it trumps flesh. Hold on, y'all. It always trumps flesh. That's right. The flesh can't live without the spirit. That's right. So we see a consistent pattern of what causes life. This is what we can say. You will never see a pattern of what flesh trumps life. And that's what non-messianics don't understand. Flesh can't trump spirit. You know from all of the writings everywhere that the Messiah couldn't be 100% flesh of a man born like David and doing what he's doing. That's right. It's out of the realm of what we call the natural flesh. Absolutely. Because he had the spirit dominating. He had a head of household in his flesh. Your head of household has to rule the flesh. The spirit has to rule. It has to be the head of household. Even if it do like this, guess what you got? Bipolarism. One day it's going to rule. The next day this one's going to rule. Right. You're going to keep doing this. And that's a seesaw in your spirit. You got to keep it where it's supposed to be. In the order from the word.
Beginning.
Because it's where at the end. Yo, it's easy work when you're trying to decipher the scripture. Always just go to where I know I can prove this, no matter what they say. So if I look at this, I can say she was spiritually seduced. With this one, I can say that versus I can prove physical. But if physical, trying to prove that separates the church more, I know what won't separate the church, and that's the spiritual. Because that's what you're practicing to be around in everlasting, because that's what the kingdom is. Spiritual. It's not a flesh kingdom. This flesh kingdom. If you want this kingdom, keep doing what this kingdom does. That's right. But you can't be prepping for a kingdom that's all flesh. It ain't going to work. Flesh and blood is not in the kingdom. Where we at on that verse?
I finished 12.
You finished 12, that's good. So y'all, these are things, so you ask again, what is the issue right here? Which side do we go with? We go with the side that we have no problem explaining, and that's spiritual first, if that comes to that. If you can make a case for the other one, and they say amen, then make your case. But here, so that we stay on the same page, and so that it don't look like, well, man, he was saying, y'all said it. No, we ain't said nothing. But what we put online, that brother filming right there, got all the videos up online. And we agree on things online. If you sit here and agree on something that is online, and somebody else tell you who ain't been here, and they change what's online, that's a problem when you was listening. Because you have to stop and say, wait a minute, that sounds different than what I hear at class with the assembly. That sounds different. Explain to me what you're saying first, and then we can move on. Well, no, see, I was saying that, no, that ain't what. Man, what if somebody pointed out online? That's what we inform people, don't we? We say, go look here. Mm-hmm. You can't say, go look here, and you saying something different here. Right. That's going to be a what? What are they going to call it? Confusion. The word ain't going to be confused. It's we decide to pick up confusion and don't cut it off when we hear it. So right now, what moon app we talking about? Anybody listen?
Moonconnection.com.
What?
Moonconnection.com.
And we try to track where we at. Let somebody get on it now and just start doing some work before the next major feast day or before the next month. And see if it pans out or do we have to use enough. But right now, that's online that we agree to that until we get concrete proof of another being more effective. We will move as a whole body to the more effective one. But I don't care about the fancy app you got on your phone for free because you joined up with AT&T. Is it what we say online? Right. You want to show off your new phone. All kind of app, dog. The new moon app. You got the new moon app? No, I got moonconnection.com. Where we at? We done with that? Okay, so we good with that, y'all. And I just was giving you examples of what one event sounds like it's talking about two different things. And then again, what does it say? There's 2 seeds in her womb. Mm-hmm. What seeds are we talking about? 2 seeds in her womb. Is this talking superfetation? Y'all know what superfetation means?
No, sir.
Break it down.
Yeah, thank you, brother. But get the dictionary if you will, and just read that, because she had two seeds, and if only Adam was with her, how does she have two seeds? And these things have to either be explained spiritually, which there's no problem, because Paul said, I have to present you as a chaste virgin to the Messiah, not as who? Eve was, who the serpent beguiled. It says she was not a chaste virgin. What would make a virgin unchaste? Or unchaste, how am I saying? Is that right? What would make her unchaste, a virgin? Some wolf that got with her.
No.
Okay. Like y'all scared. That's wolf activity. He said wolf activity happened in the garden. Who caused that? Was it Adam or the serpent? The serpent. Was it physical or was it spiritual? Which one? You can always prove that. You can always prove that. Physical is there in a lot of writings. You have to piece it together, but what is really the point, or which has the weightier matter? Spiritual or fleshly? Always the weightier matter. Because this gonna be in the kingdom. This gonna be looking into the kingdom. And it may be looking from a terrible place.
Like you said earlier, man, the Lord says there's another won't inherit the kingdom.
Right. That's clear across the board, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Won't ain't hard to understand.
Superfetation.
What it say?
The presence of fetuses of different ages resulting from the fertilization and development of two or more ova liberated at different periods of ovulation in the same uterus.
In the same what?
Uterus.
Oh, so a woman can be pregnant by two different men at different intervals at the same time. He can get her pregnant in January, he gets her pregnant in March. In the same woman. So what we had now, physically, is that spiritual superfetation? Because we know it was. Because she already had the commandments of Adam. Because that was Adam's punishment. Not that he listened to the serpent, but that the Most High said, I told you to give, I instructed you, I commanded you to teach her my law, statutes, and judgments. And you said, okay. I did that, Lord. I did do it. And he did, because when Satan asked her, what are the commandments of the Heavenly Father? What'd she say? I ain't supposed to be looking at you like I'm looking at you.
Right.
And he was twist on it, got in her mind.
Got in her mind and say, look, there's a lot you won't have to learn. And I'll be the teacher right now. Yeah. And after he got through, guess what? Guess what I learned today?
Took it back home.
Took it back home. Guess what I learned today?
This right here.
And then he said, that woman you gave me taught me all of that. Most High went back to work.
The beginning.
And told him what?
What I tell you.
And I tell you, why am I going to be discussing what she said to you? When over here, I said this to you. Let's clean this right here, and then I'll deal with her. But you owe the explanation. You were supposed to be right here. You were the head of the household. You gonna stand here and tell me you let your woman be seduced? And it's my fault? Well, you gave it to me, Lord, I was cool. Give me some Job 31 right quick, just right quick. And 33. I just want y'all to see something. We're going to move on because I got to really speed it up. I got a few scriptures here to get into the evening, and let's make some observations on how we're going to be together as a body. And whatever parts is plaguing the body, we got to put medicine on it. or we got to get it out of the body. And that may come with fasting. Sometimes we may have to fast to 31:33. Joe, shalom, y'all. Well, that ain't gonna be long, is it?
Reading from the book of Job, chapter 31, verse 33. Job 31 and 33. If I covered my transgressions as Adam.
As who?
As Adam.
See how we talking about what happened in the beginning way up here? About what? Covering what?
It's transgression.
Cover, what is the transgression?
Sin.
And what is sin?
Transgression of the law.
So he's still talking about what went down in the garden at the beginning. Go ahead.
If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom.
By hiding mine iniquity in my bosom. I'm holding it in. I'm waiting to spring it at the right time. I know I done wrong. I know I done wrong, but oh, wait a minute. My woman lured me into that. No. You can't play with the Most High because he deals with the beginning and the rules just like your parents. Wash them dishes before I get home from work. You come home, you done fell asleep watching Soul Train, and now you're trying to explain how they hear you clearly. So what she do next? She write it down, don't she? And put it on the refrigerator. Wash them dishes before I get home from work. Now she come home from work, and them dishes piled up in there. What's going to happen then? Woke up with discipline. You say, it was a hot wheel track for me. And there's nothing worse than being a sound sleep smiling. And you like, wait a minute, why is this roller coaster whooping my back? Wait a minute. This is the screaming. Get up, get that. The dishes washed, get that trash out of here. You know what she can do then? Take the note off the refrigerator and come home, guess what's going to be done?
Them dishes going to be done.
This is going to be done. And this is what the Most High did with us. He schooled us under Aaron, and then he took the note off the wall. Y'all got to get this in here. I ain't got to tell y'all every day how to do my work. I done told y'all. I ain't going to chew my cabbage twice. That's what I'm going to say. I ain't going to keep repeating myself. Where we at?
At 34.
Okay.
Did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silence and went not out of the door?
You can hold that, but if y'all read that whole 31st chapter from the beginning, it gets into detail about where your eyes should be focused. And it matches up clearly with what the Messiah was saying in Matthew 25 when he said, you think to look on a woman. You've already committed adultery. So this is what Job is talking about, 31 all the way down to that 33. Hitting hard for how your eyes ought to spiritually be in tune. Because a woman got on almost nothing. That means you can't control yourself if you see that. You got to get past that. You got to see beyond. A piece of clothing makes me sing. We done with that, brother. Let's get back to that Genesis 1. We got to get down to 5. I'm going to speed some things up. I may have to skip over, but I'm going to get right to the heart of the matter. The word, it sounds as if sunrise is the beginning of a day, Sabbath day or feast day, or when we talk about the night.
Back in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, left off at verse 4. And y'all saw the light, that it was good. And y'all divided the light from the darkness. And y'all called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
See where we at? And the sun and the moon ain't created yet, and we got day and we got night. You think that's going somewhere? Where it disappeared to? We got day and night. Clear? Day and night. Go ahead, brother.
And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So we got day and night and evening and morning before the sun and the moon created. That has to be accounted for. It has to be accounted for, or you have to account for it disappearing. We no longer use that light that was created before the sun anymore. Like Cain's lineage removed from the earth. If you teaching a doctrine that says Cain's lineage got past the ark, you got to prove that. How they got on the ark. Because if his 8 got on there, either he got on as a beast, and you're going to have to explain that, or he didn't get on it, and he was wiped out, his genealogy gone. You have to account what's there before you let something fly out of your mouth. Where we at? 2 Peter. Did we finish that? Just go small.
Verse 6.
Yeah.
And Yah said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the water.
So now we got, not only do we have light and dark split, now we got water split in half. Equal halves. A firmament. A firmament is a heaven above the blue clouds and what we can see with our naked eye. The firmament is above that. It's above the stars and the moon.
Firmament is H7549.
What does it say, brother?
Extended surface, solid, expanse, firmament, expanse, base, support, firmament of a vault of heaven, supporting waters above, considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting waters above.
Above this firmament is water above it. If that goes, it'll come down. That's what moved out of the way when the flood started for 40 days. When it says the heaven was open, the firmament moved, and the water was just coming down continually for 40 days and 40 nights. Blocked out the sun and the moon. And not only that, but then it said the earth opened up its portals, and we just had, like, you run over a fire hydrant and y'all see the water shooting up. There was portals like that all throughout planet Earth, shooting water up from the waters that he's talking about was divided. It's as much water underneath as it is above. And both of them, one coming down and this one shooting up. Y'all think this hurricane doing something in Florida? That was 30 minutes with what was going down in 40 days and in 40 nights. 30 minutes of that. You think about what happens in 2 hours of a downpour, you call it MSD. You're right, you want overtime? My basement flooded. Now you got it coming up from the bottom. That's what happens with a sewer system. When it can't take no more water, the water has to come up through your sewer system because your pipes in the house is connected to it. When it gets so much pressure and back up, it say, I got to back up. Go ahead, where we at?
Verse 7. And Yah made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And Yah called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
We just still at day 2. We got day and night, evening and morning. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9. And Yah said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Yah called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he sea.
Right.
And Yah saw that it was good. And Yah said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his own kind,
right,
whose seed is in itself upon the earth.
So it says at the beginning everything was made after a kind, and it had its self-reproduction within itself. So boom, here's a tree, or herb bearing seed. It's bearing seed. The seeds are to keep it going. Boom, I'm forming a man. Boom, here's seeds. To keep it what? There, you see the consistent pattern? If two scriptures sound like a lot, we have to always turn to the consistent pattern.
Right.
That don't mean that's wrong. That's to mean that until you get on this consistent pattern and turn this to a consistent pattern, I got to stay at home. I don't care how good that sounds. The Antichrist is coming, y'all. And he gonna heal people through technology. And it said if it were possible, he would deceive the very elect. Now you be off your game when this happens. Right. And see what happens. Play around with what's coming that's going to claim 2/3 of the world's population.
Right.
Play around with that. Y'all, this is how serious this is when you got to understand this in its completeness, in its fullness, to be sure in yourself, fully persuaded in your own mind. I have to believe it before I can tell you to believe it.
Right.
That don't mean I got to know it all at one time, but what I do know, I have to believe it. Where we at?
Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind.
After his what?
After his kind.
Okay.
And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself.
So whose what?
Whose seed was in itself.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay. Well, I like that y'all was kind of saying it low though, like a ventriloquist. Like chicken. No, it was the egg. I didn't say nothing. Go ahead.
After his kind.
Right.
And Yah saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day.
3 days in. Go ahead.
And Yah said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for reasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And Yah made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
So what night and day is sun ruled? Where we first get night and day from? In the beginning, right? In the beginning. So it was created to show you how to regulate that. These two lights. A greater light, which is the sun, and a lesser light for the moon. The moon, the lesser light, is going to rule the lesser. That don't mean because it's lesser, it has no power. Because it's used for the feast days that you go by. So you can't discount it because it's less, you know, and then you have the greater light that rules the what? The day. But those things were divided, and you had morning and evening before the sun and the moon was created. If your whole outlook is bringing it from the sun, and then we get darkness, we get morning and evening, you're going backwards the other way. You can't put the cart before the horse, can you? No. Can a horse run behind the cart? You facing the horse, it's facing you. Which way you going? You have to put the horse before the cart. You have to put what's at the beginning. Darkness, light, night and day, evening and morning. And now we got the fourth day, we got the sun and the moon created. That would be like a child ruling its parents. You waked him up. Didn't I tell you to watch the dishes before I got home from work? Didn't I tell you this was going to be the last time you woke me up? After watching Soul Train and then follow your rules? What you think your mother gonna do? Dead. But boy, that was answer.
It's right.
Go ahead.
He made the stars also.
Right.
And Yah set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
You can hold that. So we see they were put in the firmament to give light upon the earth. But the firmament lights are fixed. They don't go nowhere. They are fixed. What did it say that the sun and the moon were to get a light in the heaven? Y'all understand where we going? The Most High said, if I tell you spiritually things and you earthly things and you don't understand, you're not going to understand the spiritual things. Earth is easy. We know that the sun take care of the crops so we grow, keep us warm, and the moon get our feast days together, but help us to shine light on the earth. Keep things in perspective where they're supposed to go. Go ahead.
You want to stop there?
Yeah, well, okay, hold on. Let's get to 2 Peter. Chapter 1, verse 19 is something very important in here too. Because the pattern is, this is symbolic. Like the whole time Christ is giving parables, we're going to get a few. He's talking about first, the Father, the Son, the Godhead in the heavens that created the heavens. Y'all understand what I'm saying? We're talking about the very beginning. Who created what we call the beginning. It's going to get into that and let you know you have to always account for that when you're reading scripture. Does this fit? Is it okay, this for earth? Let's get it. Where we at? 2 Peter?
Yep. 2 Peter 1:19.
Okay.
2 Peter chapter 1, verse 19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy. Whereunto ye do well that ye take heed.
Right here we got a more sure word of prophecy. What does that mean? A more sure word. See, y'all, this is what we're talking about, spiritual over flesh. Spirit means I got a more sure word. You know, somebody says, man, you sure? I got a more sure word. Christ Yahushua said it. Man, well, what about Elijah Muhammad? I got a more sure word. Christ Yahushua. Man, what about David Koresh? I got a more sure word. Christ Yahushua. After that is pearl time. Go ahead, what we have, bro? Read up.
Whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place.
As unto a what?
A light that shineth in a dark place.
Right.
Until the day dawn.
Until the day what?
Dawn.
Okay.
And the day star arise in your hearts.
You can hold on. So right here, we're looking at him talking about before the earth was. Read it again, brother, for me, one more time.
We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place.
Right.
Until the day dawn.
So we got a dark place and we got until a day dawn. Go ahead.
And the day star arise in your hearts.
So who do we hear is called the day star? So we know this scripture is talking about the Messiah. We have a more sure word that you got to get this on. You got to be fully persuaded in your mind who the more sure word is. Who you can cash all your chips in when you say, I'm all in. Y'all ever see that on the shows when they gambling? And they push the whole pile up there? You got to be sure about that. You can't holler, never, dice. Dice coming out. So we see that when we see Peter, who is Peter talking about at this point? Peter talking about supernatural now. Peter talking spiritual now. We got the day star coming like Satan is the morning star. But Christ is the bright and morning star. He supersedes what Lucifer was when he was in heaven. Yeah. He's just called the morning star. And then you got Revelation 1, the bright and morning star. My light supersedes his light. So the heavenly light supersedes earthly lights. And it comes a time in the day when you're measuring what causes day and night that's in the beginning. The spiritual light has to be accounted for. And it shows up. It ain't gone nowhere. It's called evening, twilight, dusk or dawn. It's the light before you see the light of the sun or the light of the moon. It shows up. The light is there technically at 3 o'clock in the morning if you up and see and you looking right. Though it's pitch black out, it looks like daylight when you look toward the heavens and the luminaries that's lighting up earth. So we want to be certain that in the night watch, we understand that there's a light watching the night and separates the night from the day. That when the day starts. And that's what's on the table. So now, after we finish that, right?
Yeah.
We're going to give a scripture that they use that says, okay, this is why we believe that the day starts in the morning. Matthew 28:1. Because we always want to know what we have to go up against. If you read a doctor's report about yourself, you got athlete feet, you got this, you got, runny nose. You got to start to figure out, how do I dry that nose up? How do I fix my athlete feet? First thing, I got to go buy some more socks. I can't keep wearing the same socks for 6 days in a row. You got to do a fix, don't you?
You take them off, can't you?
You say the shoes too. 28:1. Y'all, this is what we do down here, y'all. When we say real men, ain't never been scared of real men. If they lay this on the table, I'm like, ooh. Or if I'm telling y'all about in the night watch, and I'm only telling y'all about these scriptures, and I ain't saying, well, y'all gonna get hit across the head with this. These are majors right here on that side that you're gonna have to determine what light settings we talking about. Let's get it.
Matthew 28, verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath.
In the what?
In the end of the Sabbath.
What do that mean, y'all?
Sabbath's over.
Sabbath's over. Let's go.
As he began to dawn towards the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
Right there. So it says in the end of the Sabbath. In the what of the morning?
The dawn. The dawn.
What's dusk? What's the difference between the two? When do one show up and the other one show up? Right. So it's saying the end of the Sabbath was what?
Right before.
Or it's saying, go ahead, let's read the smoke.
Verse 2. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it.
So right here, it could easily be said, okay, we were at the end of the Sabbath because we come to the first day of the week, Sunday, right? The end of the Sabbath is Saturday, right? The first day of the week is what? Sunday. So if we come into the dawn of the first day of the week, then the Sabbath ended, what they're saying, at night instead of beginning. Yeah. So what they're saying, every day begins with sunrise. Y'all see how that's looking at it right like that? Because they said it was the end of the Sabbath. Yeah. We say the sun rises and night ends the day. It was dawning toward the first day of the week, sunlight. And when you look at that, you'd be like, wait a minute, that makes all the sense in the world. Okay, now I need to bring in these other lights and see what you're talking about. Whose side does this really fit? We'll get into that here very short.
I mean, but to me, they really don't, because it says it's dawning.
Yeah. Right.
Sun to come on. So that's what makes sense. You stand line with it.
But what words you just used to explain what you're talking about? It said it was what? It was what?
Dawning.
And dawning was before what causes day to night. Right. The sun and the moon.
Right.
So it said this light was showing. This light was showing. This light shows at the beginning of the day. This light shows, the heavenly firmament shows at the beginning of the day. And then the other light breaks forth through, like 2 Peter says. Right? Daylight, like the sun breaks forth through, Christ breaks through the firmament of dawn. He's the day star that busts through, just like the 2 Peter we just read. He comes through that when he comes back at the second coming. Or everything gonna be black, right? Sun and the moon can't cut out. And then how is the whole world gonna see him come? He bringing something with him, man. He busting through the darkness, bringing the light. So that was at the beginning. It's at his second coming. All right? Foreshadowing. A consistent pattern before we say, wait a minute, that makes sense, but I got a consistent pattern I still have to deal with. Okay, so we can hold that. The next one, you got the book of Enoch? Anybody got it? Give me Enoch. While you're searching for that, give me one more in the script. Exodus 14. Give me Exodus 14, 19 through 24. Give me that.
What you want to eat?
I want Enoch chapter 78. Yeah, I want Enoch, I just asked for Exodus 14, verse 19, 24 before you hit that Enoch. I need one more to explain or to see a light or dawn before what we understand on our earthly level.
That's why they use the term dawn of a new day.
Dawn of a what?
A new day.
Y'all read that? Dawn of a new day. There's a light we have to account for.
Exodus 14.
Yeah.
Everybody there?
I'm at 19.
Excellent.
Verse 19.
Up on the board, y'all. I know I wasn't keeping up. I'm going to get back on point. Okay.
Everybody there? Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 24. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel. You gonna say And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
Right.
And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel.
Right.
And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that one came not near the other all the night.
So we got here where this picks up, the story picks up is when we leave in Egypt. At midnight, the death angel coming through, we got to get out of there. At midnight, the scripture actually talk about getting prepared at night. In the night watch, he says it's going to happen coming out of America just like it did in Egypt. Ezekiel 20:34, it says the coming out is going to mirror Egypt, but it's going to be from a worldwide perspective. Not just like coming out of America, but as a worldwide perspective. Coming out first mentally, you got to come out. Before you can understand where I'm supposed to go. We got every camp out here teaching, some, a lot, most, that you should leave America because it's going to be destroyed and go where? Who got a question?
And would you repeat that? Ezekiel 24, you said?
Ezekiel 20:34, 33 on down. It'll talk about it and say it's going to be exactly like it was in Egypt, but on a worldwide scale, because we're on the four corners of the earth now. So y'all, if we're looking at how we came out of there, we came out of there at midnight, and we see that they were chasing us, and the Most High had a barrier of darkness blocking them off, and a barrier of light for us, guiding us through. And guess what? It's at what time? Midnight. What is this light? We got leading the way for us. And what is this darkness? They can't penetrate to get through to see. While we on the run. Go ahead, what you got, bro?
I just recently read this scripture myself. I was doing some research, and you have to stop and visualize that.
Right.
We're saying this is midnight time. When the Most High was in front of Israel, leading us out of Egypt. When we got out of Egypt, he stopped and moved behind us and put a barrier between us and the Egyptians. And that barrier of him, all they saw looking at us was darkness. But that same barrier of darkness, like the scripture says, on the other side, our side, we can see clearly.
Right.
You have to stop and picture that.
Right.
You have to really imagine that they looking dead at us. Pitch black, midnight, darkness. We on the other side doing what?
Chasing what you can't see.
In the light.
Chasing what you can't see. You can hear us moving,
They're on the back side.
but you can't see.
Can't see nothing. But we on the other side, too.
And y'all know how it is, playing hide and seek. If you was found to be a peeker, you was called a cheater. Because you seen where they running to while you in the night.
Sound like you just played that recently.
Go ahead, read some more.
Verse 20 again.
Thank you, bro.
And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these. So that the one camp came not near the other all the night.
All the what?
All the night.
So we got both. We got heavenly light and we got earthly light at night. So are we saying that the moon only showed on this side and we was blocked for this side? We would have to really get down to the point of it, because verse 19 started off, who was driving this mission? What is that?
The angel of God.
The who?
The angel of God.
That's the captain of the host, the angel of the Most High. That's Christ. Leading the way. Just like he's going to lead the way coming out of here and everywhere else on the four corners of the earth. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night.
All that what?
All that night. And made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground.
Right.
And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
Right.
And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots and his horses.
You can hold that. Y'all can slow now. Y'all can read the rest of that and get all that understanding, but y'all see where we're going with what was happening when it's dark in one area and light in another. And what is it about? Is it light at the beginning, creating light? Is it light at the end when Christ come back to the same situation, because we're acting up for the same situation, because we're talking about tribulation period and dark times coming, that where the sun is not going to give her light and the moon going to be turned to blood. You are coming up where you're going to need that day dawn in your life. That's why Peter is saying in 2 Peter 1:19, get that day dark. It has to arise in your heart first. Like it did in Abraham's heart when he told him, kill your son. He didn't say murder your son. He said, kill him as a sacrifice to me. I gave him to you way past reproduction. Remember your wife was laughing when we told her she was going to have a baby at 89? She said, I'm way past them days. Ain't got no milk left. Where we at?
You want that 24?
No, you good on that.
Okay, we in Enoch.
Okay,
Chapter
Enoch.
78.
And if for y'all don't have it, let me see if I got it on. And this is another one. So I went through that, y'all, that Matthew 1. Now, if you relook at that Matthew 1, which we're going to get back to, and we're going to see the other side of it, looking at it from a different perspective. If the day starts in the morning, because it's going to work the other way around, too. We're going to see. Where we at? Enoch. Let me see if I got that. Hold on. These are Josephus too. I got it on here, but I got it. Just the name and so I can bring it up.
The book of Enoch.
Let me increase it, y'all. How's that, y'all? That help? Let me move it over.
Double X, not triple X.
I can see.
You squint it.
Enoch chapter 78, verse 10. And Uriel showed me another law.
Right.
When light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun, during all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferred into herself when opposite to the sun during 14 days.
So it's saying the moon is transferring light, but we start off with the moon gaining light. Not light already there. So it's gaining light, but we're going to let it keep on going where they want you to see, the verse they want you to see.
What it said about growing. Let me see. Doing which verse 11 says during the period. Read that right there. During the period which is growing. I just want to show y'all just real why it says it's growing. When it's saying it's growing between those 14 days.
Right.
Okay? So it starts out new. In each stage, that's what it's referred to as growing. And when you get through that whole cycle to the full moon, it takes 14 days between here to get to here. And the rest of the month, it goes back in reverse to get back to here.
Now understand what he just said, y'all. We're going to keep that in mind. We're going to go to chapter 77. See how he had in the order? Yeah. He says it's growing 14 days. Remember, we think the 15th day is the full moon. He said it's growing 14 days, so we're going to get to 77 to really understand what he's breaking down, because it's going to say the same thing. Go ahead, bro. Get that back up.
It says, during all the period during which the moon is growing in her light.
What is she doing?
Growing in her light.
So where are we starting from with this script about how the moon takes off? It's doing what?
Growing in light.
What is it growing from? Is it growing from a light perspective that's already there, or is it growing from starting point from a dark perspective? Because it starts dark and it makes a full circle and come back to dark before you can say one. You don't say one at the light because you passed your starting point. You can't start your clock. This nation start their clock at 12. And it goes all the way around to 12. That's the daylight hours, where you start at half of them according to their clock. And they split their 12 up. Because they start at midnight. But they go all the way around to 12 and they come back to the starting point at midnight, don't they? Yes. They say our starting point is midnight. Guess who their starting point was midnight? Egypt. Right. At midnight, that was their starting point. So, I ain't gonna get into that, but just showing you how America mirrors Egypt in almost every way. What you got to do with that?
So I can go on and call it the middle of the night.
The middle of the night. And at the same breath, they're trying to say it's the beginning of a day.
Right. Midway through.
Because they say it's the beginning of a day at night. They just saying it 6 hours later than we think the scriptures are saying. And those who believe that it's sunrise are saying, well, it's 6 hours later than them. Y'all see where we at with this? We got to come to a common ground and understanding these things. All things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. We got to understand this because we have to do the feast days that's tied with this. It may not be expedient for you to come up to speed to understand what the hell are they talking about. You got to find out. You know why? Because it's lawful. Ain't no pressure on you to know it today. But you have to know it because it's lawful. And there's no pass for, ain't no excuse for ignorance. Go ahead. Let's see some money.
When he said about you have to know about it being lawful, it's so that you know where you at.
Yeah.
It's so that you know what time it is. Real time, most high time.
Real
you have
time.
to be on his time.
Real time. No. Look. Ain't no Negro time in the firmament.
Like I was on that.
Right. But you gonna show up tucking your pants at the gate. And then start asking for directions, what we supposed to do.
Right.
Wow.
Go ahead, bro.
11 again. During all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself when opposite to the sun during 14 days.
Doing how many days?
14 days. Her light is accomplished in the heaven. And when she is illumined throughout.
What verse you on?
11.
You on 11.
Like I'm all the way up.
This language is really different. See, yeah, it's the same common language, it's just a more modern version versus this version, but the same word meaning just mentioned in a different order. Go ahead. Go ahead, put that, bro.
And when she is illumined throughout, her light is accomplished full in the heaven.
You're on verse 12.
Verse 12.
See, now, if you read it from there, so we stay on point.
Verse 12. And on the first day it is called the new moon.
On the what day?
The new moon. First day. For on that daylight rises on it.
See, that's what they use. They say that's why we're sticking with this. On the first day, what? Daylight rises on it on the first day. Huh? Can y'all see that? Daylight rises on the first day. That's what it appears to be, no? This is why they ain't moving in that Matthew 1, saying it was dawning toward the first day of the week and the end of the Sabbath. So they were saying that the Sabbath was over at sundown, the previous day before, or was it right before daylight breaks through? Or did it start at sundown? You're talking about the end of darkness. Darkness has 12 hours on it, don't it? And we got watches all throughout the night that we don't get a lot of study or practice on because you used to thinking I should be asleep at dark time. Watch this. You got to be in your conscious awareness when it's dark, even when you sleep. You cannot see in your sleep. You think you can't wait to go to sleep to get with Beyonce? Well, Jay-Z Illuminati, so he don't deserve it. Now you in bed at 5 o'clock.
Verse 13. And its light becomes full exactly on the day that as the sun goes down in the west, it rises from the east for the night. And the moon shines for the whole night until the sun rises opposite it. And the moon is seen opposite the sun.
So we got exact pattern. We got one on this side, one on this side. And they go like this. To shine equal times of the day and night. The key is, when does it start? Which one starts first? The chicken or the egg, where we at?
So this verse right here, is this an example of the sun and the moon rotating around the earth and not the earth moving, and the sun and the moon is still in the same
The
spot?
script says the sun rises and sets, so it's moving, not planet Earth.
So the earth is still.
Right.
That's the point. The earth is still. Everything else revolves around it.
Right.
So when they tell you that it's the earth moving, sometimes you get a headache and they say, oh, it's just the rotational gravity pull of the earth.
Right.
That's right. So
Let's get some
you
more.
see right here that it's the earth that stands still. You got the moon on this side and the sun on this side, and they both switch.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They constantly going around. We the ones standing. We are the center of the universe.
And if you ain't never paid attention to that, just look toward Kansas City and then look toward East St. Louis. You'll see the moon rise. You'll see the sun set. But they'll come exactly, and in between that, when you have cleaned up the ride, at the beginning of that dawn, when the sun is past the horizon and you still can see a little bit of daylight. When you turn on them park lights, oh boy, how the old cars look. That's the time that separates one day ending and another one starting. That time right in there. Twilight. When the street lights come on before it gets dark, right? They don't come on when it's dark. They come on before it gets dark.
That's what's called the twilight signal.
Do lightning bugs come out when it's dark or before it gets dark? It's a pattern in nature to keep you on point if you lose track of time. The ordinances are set up for consistency from beginning to end. That ain't gonna never change. Guess who the only thing that changes consistently? Man. Say it again. Man.
That's why I'm going to say this real quick. Some cars have a twilight signal that when the evening comes, your lights automatically come on. Right. Without you having to do anything. Or if you pull into someplace dark, your lights will come on their own. Because it's telling them it's nighttime. It's time for these lights to come on. They come on before it gets dark.
Right. What you got, Sister Boy?
I was just going to say, just before Ryan said what he said, when I had my car, that's all that we used to do in the early 70s. We used to turn our twilight.
Yeah.
Those lights on first before we actually used the headlights.
Look, when you go out to the park, they have an event out there that they have a live band playing. What's it called? Twilight. We get into the time between you all for work and what separates dark into, is it the start of another day or is it the end of another day? That's where the question has to be. We have to split the baby. As King Solomon said. Now, if we decide one or the other, where we at, one will have to accept, I'm spiritual. If you're on the spiritual side of this, you can't lose. Right. You cannot lose. If you're trying to promote flesh above spirit and you're sticking on that and you can't answer the spiritual, if you leave that and come over here, what are you asking for? You know what you're asking for. Because at this point, one of us is rejecting knowledge at this point. So you got to be prepared for that. if you decide on what I'm saying. But y'all, I just wanted to show y'all a couple of what is said that says this is why we leave. Now, we can get into all of this and we can turn it right around and it'll look the other way. But if it looked the other way, it has to trump this way spiritually. I don't care how it goes. One of them is flesh, one of them is for carnal, and one of them exhibits a spiritual meaning from the heavens. That's all Christ talked about. The kingdom that I'm coming with is coming from up there. It's off to stinky. It's off limits to stinky lady. There's some dancing going on up there because it said that David danced before the Lord. And said David was getting busy. Right. So we know it ain't nothing that can't happen. They got it from there. It's just that if you dancing for the devil, one of the two, how you dancing? Right? How you a man looking in the mirror seeing, can you twerk? You doing the wrong dance. Right. I mean, who you gonna show it to?
Did y'all see that one movie when when the ark came in and David was dancing and the dude was playing David? He was up there.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm like, that's dancing for the Lord? Looked like one of the bush.
That was like the 10 minutes in the Wizard of Oz. So we got an honor, son. You know, she said David Moses is coming up. They 7 days harder than them all. But let's hold that. Y'all will read all of that to the end when y'all will. Back it up to chapter 77, verse 14. And we're going to get a little bit of understanding on the fulfillment. The full moon actually completes on the 14th. And the 15th has to be starting another day. So the 15th being full, that's a start of another day at night when the moon comes up. So it's opposite of the sun. It's just the same rising. There's a dawn to night, as well as a dusk. We have to understand that dawn and that dusk in between is light that tells us if we lose our calendar, if we lose our smartphone, this is the time of day it is, based on what comes after that light, that twilight, that dusk, that dawn. Whichever side comes up first. If the sun comes up, then I know I'm either 12 hours into that day already, or it's the beginning of that day. It's going to be one or the other. And the same way on the night side. Either you ending the day and starting another one at night. Let's get it. Where we at? I'm going to speed this up, y'all. No, okay, 77 and 14. It's up to 7. Stop at 9.
We'll stop at 8, sir.
Trying to trick us.
Stop it.
Could have grabbed the wrong thing.
You passed.
I'll tell you what, we'll come back to that.
You passed.
You passed.
I passed.
You said 7:14?
That was 76.
77.
That was 76.
No, you passed 77.
Tell you what, while
14.
we're doing this, y'all, let's keep it moving. I can't afford to lose no more time because we already almost at the 3 o'clock hour and I need to get this finished. Nehemiah 13, and we're going to start at verse 19. And what we're doing, y'all, is talking about the events that's happening at night or in the morning. And one of them is saying it's either a start of day and it's the end of a day and the beginning of another one. Which one is a consistent pattern? Y'all, that's how we got to roll. Because if you got consistency, nobody can argue with consistency. It's working. It's proven. It's consistent.
I got that 77 and 14 if you want
You
to.
got 77, 14 in yours? What does it say? Read those.
In the Enoch.
Yeah.
And the 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the heaven or therewith completed, and all their laws and all their plagues and all their benefactions have I shown to thee, my son.
Keep going.
Keep going?
Yeah.
It goes into the next,
Let me grab the wrong one. But tell you what, we'll go get to Nehemiah. I'll find it. I know it's right in here because from chapter 72 of Enoch through chapter 80 deals with the ordinances in the heavens. So if y'all want to get it, just study Enoch from chapter 72 through chapter 80. It deals with all of the ordinances. But we're going to get back. I'll find it, y'all. I'll find where it's at. Let's get back to Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 19. And y'all, we're going to hit a couple events happening at night. Then we're going to hit about night watches, and we're going to hit about why a man can't be on a tree. Is it because a new day is starting? Or does it have some other meaning? And Christ is the foreshadow. These things are the foreshadowing of Christ because he completed almost all of his consistency. Nehemiah chapter 13. Yeah.
Read from the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13, verse 19.
Well, we went 19 on that Exodus, we went 19 through 24.
Yeah, 19 to 26.
So let's get it.
Book of Nehemiah 13 and 19. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark.
Began to be what?
Dark.
The gates of Jerusalem, the holy city, where the temple was, go ahead.
Began to be dark before the Sabbath.
Before the what?
Before the Sabbath.
Okay, it began to be dark before the Sabbath. It was beginning to be dark before the Sabbath. Where we going with this? It's beginning to be dark before the Sabbath. Read some more.
I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath.
Till after the what?
Till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set eye at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day.
So they locked the gate at what time? Before it began to be dark, didn't they? They locked the gate. So we see it, was that the beginning of the Sabbath? Let's read some more.
Verse 20. So the merchants and sellers of all kind of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth came they no more on the Sabbath.
See, they was laying about the wall outside of Jerusalem before the beginning of the Sabbath, waiting to sell their wares on the Sabbath day to people coming. So there must have been some activity around the temple at the end of another day and the beginning of another. You know, so we have to understand there was some activity going on right before it get dark at the start of the Sabbath. Or he's saying something else. And he said, I was going to lay hands on them. Now, if the Sabbath don't start till morning, are they getting positioned for the morning rush? Because he let them know, if y'all plan on sleeping out here, if that was the morning side of it, I'm going to lay hands on you now. No, he was letting them know. It's almost sundown in the start of the Sabbath. Y'all keep letting it. So we understand that, but let's back that up with Jeremiah 17:21. so that we get some consistency on that same issue of that foolishness of waiting to sell to the people on the Sabbath day. Like they lay around Sunday doctrine today on what they call their Sabbath day and have merchandise waiting on them. 17. You said they had chicken now, boy. They going in the low now. Yeah, they playing dirty. (17:24). Go ahead, brother Jeremiah.
The book of Jeremiah,
Start at verse 21.
chapter 17, verse 21.
Start at 19.
Chapter 17, verse 19. Thus saith the Most High unto me, Go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem.
So we see it's a gate system in Jerusalem, just like it's going to be a gate system in the New Jerusalem. 12 gates, right? Go through Judah. Same situation. Let's read some more.
Verse 20. And say unto them, Hear ye the word of the Most High, ye kings of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Most High, Take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem.
Right.
Neither carry forth a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I command your fathers, or commanded your fathers.
Right.
But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff.
Made their neck what?
Stiff.
Y'all ever been trying to hold somebody's head while you trying to comb? Ain't been combed in 2 days full of blanket things? Hold your head stiff. They stiffened up their neck. That's what the Most High says. He like this. We're trying to get his laws. He like, read my laws. And we just like this. Go ahead.
That they might not hear, nor receive instruction. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Most High, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein. Then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever.
So we can hold that if we enter into the city correct. We got to enter into the city correct. We can't enter into the city darkness. So Jeremiah is just explaining why we just read in Nehemiah, why he said, I'm going to lay hands on y'all. It's like when Christ went in the temple and he saw the money changes, what he started doing? Flipping their hands on them. And that's what he said. I'm going to flip these tables. I'm telling y'all, I'm going to flip the table. Was that at the beginning or was it at the end according to Nehemiah? He said the sun was setting and the Sabbath day was about to start. Either we're talking about 6 p.m. and he was worried about 6 a.m. at that time. One or the other. Let's get right down to, let's hit a little Ephesians 4:26, just one verse. We're going to speed through these, y'all, because we after the 3 o'clock hour. Ephesians 4:26. We're going to start at verse 23. So let's start at verse 23. Start at verse 20. Verse 20, very cool. I need to hit some action. How you doing, bro? How you doing? Good.
Reading from the book of Ephesians,
Yes.
chapter 4, verse 20.
Yes, sir.
But ye have not so learned Christ, if so be that ye have heard him, and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yeshua, that ye put off concerning the former conversations the old man. Wait, hold on, let me get that 22 again.
Yeah.
That ye put off concerning the former conversation. That ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man.
Yes, sir.
Which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust.
So it's saying you can't learn Christ if you still got that old man wrapped around you.
Right.
It's impossible for you to learn Christ, and you still talk about what I used to do. I'm still doing that. I just say Christ while I'm doing it. That's still putting off that old man. You to learn something new, but you like what I used to do. Well, how can I figure out a way how I can keep doing it and act like I'm a Christ follower? I'll do it and just say Christ. That ain't gonna get it. Because it's still the old man. Cause you know you Israel don't mean you can still do what you used to do. All you know now is who you are. But who you are now is going to be manifested in the light of what you do. When you didn't know, and I'm thinking I'm this person, and I'm thinking I'm that person, you got to pass on so far. Because the conditions of prophecy going to force you to look at my condition. Oprah got $3 billion. And they'll tell her on Rodale Drive when they see they coming, they'll pull down that metal gate. $3 million, and they pull the gate down. Billion. I'm sorry, $1 billion, and they pull the gate down. Are y'all calculating the numbers? Okay, thank you, brother. And they count and they close the gate on her, so it's letting you know, no matter what condition you in, you are not going to escape the prophecies, because you're not going to be able to have an excuse on that day and say, Lord, the money blinded me, I didn't know who I was. They showed you who you was. They showed you just like them ones with no money, because we'll close the gate on them. Let's get some more. Where we at?
At verse 23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Be what?
Renewed.
What does renew mean? Anybody? To start over, right? And where does start got to take place?
In you.
See, it got to be renewed here first. Before, you can't even, if they say flee fornication or flee Babylon, it's got to flee here first before you go there. How you going to flee with the numbskull? Over there. You just going to be a numbskull over there. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 24. And that ye put on the new man.
Right.
Which after Yah is created in righteousness and true holiness.
Right.
Wherefore putting away lying.
Putting away what?
Lying. Speak every man truth with his neighbor. For we are members one of another.
This is the most important part of the scripture. Speak truth with one another because we are members of one another. Basically what it's saying, how you going to lie to yourself?
That's right.
How you going to think you the big mucky muck on the block, keeping up with everybody else, and you lying to yourself? So if we as a body lie to ourselves, what it's going to do? That's spot and wrinkle, ain't it? We got to be presented as a church without what? Spot or wrinkle. Spot or wrinkle or stank on us. You can't enter into the kingdom like you can get into the club and then iron the seat of the same jeans you've been sweating in and wearing for 3 days. You think all this crowded in there, the funk ain't gonna ride? Soon as you sit down, whoosh. That's the mindset if you think you're going to take this flesh into that kingdom. Let's get some more.
Verse 26. Be ye angry and sin not.
Be ye what?
Angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
Let not the what go down on your wrath?
The sun go down.
So are we saying don't let the day pass being mad like this? What are we saying? This is saying the day is going to end. You can't let a day end with you mad at somebody. You can be angry, but you can't sin. Because you're at the end of the day, now we're taking that thought process into the next day. And guess what you're going to do while you're thinking about it on the first 6 hours of that day? You're going to be sleeping on it. You're going to be thinking about it, and then I'm going to go to sleep on it. And guess what? When I wake up to start my daylight hours, does it make any sense that it says the morning and the evening were the first day? Is it talking about what's the end of day? Evening, morning and evening are only the part of the 12 hours of the day. From 6 to 9 is the third hour of the day, or between 6 and 8 to 9. Then it goes and then it gets 12. You are in the 6th hour of the day, and that's called noon. They hung the Messiah on the cross at evening, right? Noon. And he stayed on there at 3 p.m. until it came dark. About the 9th hour, he gave up the ghost. Now you got the rest of morning and evening to finish up. But the problem, did it start in the morning or did it start at night the day before, or what you would consider the day before when he was on the cross? Because all this was taking place at night. When they came and got him, he was in the watch of the night. They held him in jail all night. Crucified him in the morning. Went to 2 thieves so everybody can see it. And now we got a law that's coming in, Deuteronomy. We're finna get into that, and then we're going to close out y'all very short. Deuteronomy coming up that says how long a man can stay on a tree. Can it be for multiple days? And how long was it been up there? Let's read some more. Where we at? We finished that?
Right, verse 27.
Okay.
Neither give place to the devil.
Neither do what?
Give place to the devil. Let him that stole steal no more.
Right.
But rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth.
See, that him that needeth, y'all. So look, poor is in the land for us, so we don't forget how to give. Spiritual first. We're going to have people that don't know the word of the Lord, thirsting for it, or just ain't in a position to get it. You got to be able to get the word to the poor. Not to nobody just, and we're talking about poor in spirit. Down low, you got to be able to, they around, so you can continue to practice. They ain't going nowhere. But they can't be a beggar. For a beggar's life is not to be counted. So that's a difference between poor and beggar. You can become poor, both of y'all working at Chrysler and lose y'all job. Y'all may become poor real quick, especially if you live in your paycheck. If y'all bringing in $150,000 a year worth there and you go to zero, you ain't going to be doing the same living. You may become poor. But if you take that poor and decide, I'm going to make me a sign, and I'm going to stand outside and I'm going to just beg continuously every day. Most I say that ain't no life, that ain't no plan to recover. The poor you help, begging you can't. It's right there, the two are right together. And how do you figure that out? The poor is not going to be in a position. They're going to always tell you, if you help me and I help myself, I'm going to help you. A beggar ain't going to say that. His hand just going to be shaped like a cup.
Y'all heard about the guy up on Olive, Skinker? He got busted finally. Yeah, there's a cat that be out there. Yeah, he be out there begging all the time. He walk like he's all hunched over and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they busted him. They found him sitting on somebody's porch.
Right.
Yes, King Island. They saw some cat rode past and saw him sitting on the front porch of the abandoned house, and he got up and walked away. And he was like, wait a minute, it's the same cat to be down there. And he said, by the way, he got a car too. So, you know, they put him on blast, all on the radio.
They call him at party, stepping into the name of love. They done seen everything. And then he get crippled because he had to make up something to become a beggar. To make you feel sorry for me to get your money illegally. That's why a beggar's life is not to be counted as life. When you start plotting, how can I eat off another man's table? Right. When the Sabbath says 6 days you must work, so you can enjoy the Sabbath. You can't rest 7 days or 6 days and then rest again on the Sabbath. Hell, you're going to be tired, ain't you? You're going to be tired of resting, ain't you?
Yeah, the script being by seeking another man's wealth.
No. Read that right there for me. Verse 20, 27, highlight. That's in Sirach, what chapter?
41.
41. Right here.
It's 40's verse 28.
Verse 29.
Yeah. 40 and 29 of the book of Sirach. Go ahead.
Chapter 49 says, the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life.
The life of him that counted on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. That means spiritually first. You can't count on nobody to get you into the kingdom. You can't be a beggar on it. That's your soul. Ezekiel 14:14 and Ezekiel 14:20 say every man got to sit on, every tub got to sit on his own body. You are responsible for you. It says a man cannot speak on his son's behalf on Judgment Day. His son is going to be judged off of his son's activity. Go ahead, Sirach, what you read?
29 again. For he polluted himself with other men's meat.
What he do?
He polluted himself with other men's meat.
Right.
But a wise man, well nurtured, will beware thereof. Verse 30, the last one says, begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire.
So we see, y'all, if you start plotting, and it ain't in you to determine if somebody plot down the corner if you decide to give to them. You got to discern the difference in begging and poor. What are their locations? If his car keeps running out of gas at the same corner, something up, man. He got a gas can and pointing to the same car. And he get to the point where it's sweet now he done forgot he got you last week. But I just want a man ride, run out of gas down there, got a gas tank right over there. I'm like, boy, you the most unluckiest gas runner I ever seen. I said, I was here last week, you ran out right there, man. You gonna have to put a few more gallons in there, but I ain't got it today. And he just walked away, can't smile.
I can tell you what I'm about to do with the girl that she's been there for 2-3 years.
I was in Paul washing his car. He had a big poster, biggest one of them posters. Little girl on there, all of the writings, graduation pictures, kindergarten pictures. Yeah, man, it's no good. They ran over a child. They ain't got no money to bury her. So I did get a little deeper and gave to him. I'm up there 2 weeks later watching. Here he come with the post again. Well, brother, I just want to know. I'm like, y'all ain't buried her yet? Didn't argue about what I gave because I didn't, don't give it back to me, man. That's on you. Right. I gave that to you because I was able at the time not to miss it. If I couldn't lose it, I should have gave it to you. Right. That's the first thing. Charity can't be looked at, give me my money back. You ran a hustle on me because I didn't give it to you thinking it was a hustle like that. Right. I gave you what I could afford to lose. Right. But just a simple question. Y'all ain't buried her yet. If he hadn't said, man, you just don't understand, they won't even embalm or the doctor says it, but he just smiled sheepishly and went away. But didn't stop there, just went 3 cars down. It had got sweet in the mouth of them, running a scandal. Read that 28. Huh? Okay. If I got it open, read it. If you got it open.
You got it, read it.
I got it. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. That don't mean you can't go down to the office down there on Olive down there wherever and get me some support. Support and trying to make a salary out of begging are two different things. Support means hold me up till I can get on my feet. That's the difference in the body. The church members, you see Paul said to give support to that sister that's helping out with the church. Support these brothers that's coming to that says support them, put them up for the night, make sure they eat good, make sure they got gas money to get back home. But they ain't charging y'all. But that's the difference in the church now. They've taken the word salary and they're charging you for the word, and they bypass support. You will never see the word salary in the scripture of getting a salary about spreading the word of the Most High. Support, you will see it, but that'll hold you up and fix it so you can get back where you belong. And that was a gift to the widow and the fatherless people who support the call, send it back to Jerusalem. That was our so-called welfare system. But y'all, a beggar's life spiritually is going to create problems for the church body as well. And you can determine begging because it has to be something growing positive. If it ain't bearing no fruit, y'all, you begging for somebody to listen to you. You ain't getting nothing. How two beggars going to come to an agreement? Let's speed this up, y'all. We got right at 3:20. John 20:1. And y'all, what we're establishing here is events that's taking place right before dark, and it's mentioning one ending and another. We've also mentioned beginning and ending at the beginning of day. But what we're talking about is what is a consistent pattern. Does light come before darkness in any pattern from beginning to end? That's not saying that Christ is weaker than the night, or darkness, or the moon is greater, the dark time is greater than the sun. What it's saying is there's an order with how things come to proceed.
John 21.
Yeah.
Everybody there?
Yeah.
The first day of the week cometh, Mary Magdalene early. Let me read that again. The first day of the week cometh, that's what it says.
Right.
Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark.
Look, let's read like this. Put a pause between that cometh and Mary.
The first day of the week cometh, Mary Magdalene early.
A pause between. Yeah, it's right. The first day of the week cometh, Mary Magdalene early. And then we pause.
The first day of the week cometh, Mary Magdalene early.
So what is that saying? On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene was early. Right? She came early on the first day of the week, which is what? So the deal is, was the first day of the week did it start at night at 6 p.m. or is we talking about right now, was this before 6 in the morning? Okay, we'll see. Go ahead, please.
When it was yet dark.
When it was what?
Yet dark.
Uh-oh.
Unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre.
So right here we got Mary Magdalene coming early while it was yet dark. So is there an early part of the Sabbath? And is there a late part of the Sabbath? The evening and the morning? Did it complete the first day? And was the early part the night? Because it was still what?
Dark.
Still dark.
You got to understand the topic today, the watches of the night. She came early upon the first day of the week. Now, if that means that it was almost finna start Sunday morning, so to speak, or was early starting at the beginning prior when dark started?
Friday evening.
It was still dark, so it would be determined to keep reading before or after to see which one to start. But this is clear here, don't read smoke.
Verse 2. Then she runneth, and cometh to Simon Peter, and to the other disciple, whom Jesus loved, and said unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him.
Right?
Peter therefore went forth, and the other disciple, and came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Peter, and came first to the sepulchre.
Right.
And he, stooping down and looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in.
Now let's back this up to when Mary Magdalene came. It was yet still dark. If it was saying, because we finished start the first sunlight, the beginning of the first day of the week, that looked plausible, don't it? But the deal is, she working because she was coming to anoint him.
Right.
Then she was still working on Sabbath time. From that perspective.
And she just missed him.
She
just missed him. The road was towards the dawn.
He was already gone. He was gone way before that. But what I'm saying is the activity of the people. If she's doing this, she's still, if it's saying it was still dark and they say the day starts in the morning and ends at night, she was in the end of the Sabbath, the night part, if you take it from the sun.
Right.
Do that make any sense? Am I making any sense? Or
Yeah, makes sense. Say it again.
If you read it from that perspective, they look at the scripture and say, she just came real early before, she came at dawn. Like if you at the club out all night and you trying to get home before the sun come up, you know you in trouble. You can't drive faster than the speed of light. But if I can just get in the house before the sun breaks that horizon, technically, I ain't been up all night. Right. Yes, you have. We got to establish rules. We married now. We don't come in the house after 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or whatever. That's just an event. Because ain't nothing open that late but legs in the hospital. I ain't been to the hospital. I ain't got no bandages on. Where we at?
Verse 5. And he, stooping down and looking in, saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in.
So right here we can hold up, but what I want y'all to think on was the time she was there, because it's dark. It's either the dark preceding day or the dark at the beginning. If it's the dark preceding day, then it's the Sabbath day, if you're using that concept. The seventh day, you're winding it up. And why are they working and walking around and they're supposed to be resting on the Sabbath? Coming to do this work? No, if the Sabbath was over sundown Saturday, she was just in the beginning, early of the first day of the week. You just started the night half first. She was still in the first day of the week at sundown Saturday. That's technically Sunday morning. When you get to the 6 o'clock hour, you've been 6 o'clock. This nation do it. 12 o'clock at night. It's 12 o'clock at night. Ain't it pitch black? If you wait on your birthday, it's what today? October what? 7. When will be October day? 12:01? And if somebody told you, no, man, you really technically at 6 p.m., your birthday. You ain't got to wait 6 more hours. But you know, according to time, who I'm going to prove that to? Now I got to backtrack 6 hours for my age.
They call it midnight, in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, the night watch. So, y'all, the only thing, I know it sounds confusing a little bit, but what I'm saying, every scripture we use almost like you can do it from both sides. That's the way it looked, but one is going to lead to a consistent pattern of darkness and things happening in darkness before you get to the light. It happened like that in the beginning, and when we hit this last revelation, you're going to see it coming right before the second coming. The pattern don't change. The only time the pattern changes when light comes onto the world and light it up, it lights forever. And then there's no more night there. We got to get back to where there's no more night there. But there's a process that we got to get there. till we get there. We can't take dark into the light, y'all. That's the problem. We trying to take our dark insides, what we like to do and lust after, and take it into that light. If we do, we're going to be lying just like Donald Trump. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all heard all the words of me crotch grab. I'm sorry. But I ain't worse than Bill Clinton. You ain't sorry. Right. You can't be sorry. How you sorry, but he's more sorrier than me. He just ain't told you, I'm going to tell you. But that's what comes with this side of darkness and politics, or what we call a pile of tricks. That's all they do.
So is it saying like the lesser of two evils, when people weigh the difference between, we just say Clinton and Trump now?
That's pretty much where it comes down to, just like in Egypt. There's another Pharaoh that rolls up with more pleasant to Joseph, but guess what? He didn't give us the same equality he gave him, because he told Joseph, I'm the king. You can't get past governor. You still got to answer to me. But you can run everything else. So he let them know what the play was. Let's read some more. Where we at? Y'all, we got about 3 more. Where we at?
You changed. We finished the John 20.
We finished John 20. Luke 4:38 through 40. Y'all, this script, y'all see why it's long suffering and tedious study. And every day you learn something different when I thought, but everything must be accounted for. The Most High don't leave nothing out. He said every idle word. So you would think a pattern is, oh, that's done away with. Ain't nothing been done away with, because everything has its complete time. What's been done away with, you were told it's going to be done away with. And you won't see it anymore. If anybody's teaching Cain has offspring on the other side of the flood, and you don't investigate that, if you hear anybody down here talking that, then there was 9 got on the ark. And if you had a woman with him, then that was 10. The script say 8. So either he had to get on like a beast and a calf, and we know that ain't in the scripture. Go ahead, where we at? Because even if he do get off, he still got to have a lineage. Because as soon as they get off, who lineage we get? Ham, Shem, and Noah, right? Where's the lineage of Cain? Let's get some more. Where we at?
Reading from the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 38.
Yeah.
And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house. And Simon's wife's mother was taken with a great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose and ministered unto them. Now when the sun was setting.
Now when the sun was what?
Setting.
Okay.
All they that had any sick with divers diseases brought them unto him. And he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them.
So did he do that in a quick span of time? Just healed all of them and said many came to him. So what they were doing around this time, because when you back this up, you see that this was a Sabbath day. They were waiting for the end of the Sabbath day for him to start healing everybody. The Pharisees was on Christ's head. He healing on the Sabbath. See, they were just that chunk healing. That I'm going to give them a lead and make them think it's really something else working. But the Messiah was healing them completely. They didn't have, the problem wasn't what time it was. The problem was they were being exposed. So the next thing is to do to lay fall. Well, you healing on the Sabbath day, so that practice was already there. So that's why when he went to the house as the sun was setting, then people started flooding. Because we out of the Sabbath day, and we enter the first day of the week, starting at the beginning of night, at the sun setting. He can work now. So a lot of work, y'all, went in the first 3 hours of night called the first watch. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., the first watch. So y'all, that's what we want to be careful at when we start to look at these scriptures and events that's happening. Man, it's starting to look like it's, okay, I'm getting more and more convinced that, and including those night and day before the sun. Because that has to come into play. You cannot eliminate that out of understanding when the day starts. Because guess what we can always go back to? The beginning. If I go back to you before the sun and the moon created, that's where our debate starts. Not on day 4. We got to start back here. Let's read some more. Where we at? Verse, we finished with that?
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
Take a pause. You know, when we say our 3 prayers a day, there was times, you know, in my growing in the Word, I would, you know, say the Lord's Prayer. But at one time, I was going through my mind like, say it in the morning or say it in the night, you know. But if you look at it, it's good for nighttime too, because you're starting a new day. When he said, "Give us this day our daily bread." So if you say that like at nighttime, I try to change it up throughout the day. It's just a personal thing, you know, and I try not to be repetitive. But I was always saying, well, I can say it in the morning because it's the start of the day and I'm going out, you know, to do my job. Give me this day my daily bread, you know. But then you think about it, I'm going to bed, it's the new day as well. So as I go into, when we go into our new day, we're laying down and going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we start our day, by going to sleep. You know, and it was just something that I always went, because like Psalms chapter 4, and this is in order, Psalms chapter 4 is a prayer for the nighttime. And chapter 5 is a prayer for the morning. And I thought about that, they're in order, 4 and 5. Nighttime, number 5, wake up with you. You know, y'all check those out. But they are prayers for the night. As you lay down, that's what you take with you. And you get up at 5 in the morning and get on out there.
Go ahead, where we at?
That 40, 38 to 40.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, we're going to speed it up just a little bit. Matthew chapter 14, verse 15. And y'all, these are parables that when the disciples ask him, when your second coming, he's going to consistently give a pattern of when the second coming may happen without telling you a day or hour. He said, no man knows the day nor the hour, right? That don't mean you can't know the week. That don't mean you can't know the month. He said the day nor hour is not known to any man because it could happen at any time. And he didn't say the morning part of the day. He said day nor hour. How many hours in a day? In a day.
24.
Thank you. See how we keep leaving out the night? Mm-hmm. That's what the Christian doctrine teaches to say he rose on a Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. That's how they get 3 days. But they don't say 3 nights. Right. It's just 3 days. They leave out the night part. If he's in the grave on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but they still behind. They still will be Tuesday. They can't win no way how they look at it. So they out of the picture. We can move that doctrine over there. You can't even win with 312s. Because you have to agree he was put in the tomb at night. Even if you say, well, 3 p.m., Friday 3 p.m. to Saturday 3 p.m., 1, right? Saturday 3 p.m. to Sunday 3 p.m. 2. Right. They say he rose on the first day of the week. You already 12 hours late from where you say he began. Right. So technically, all you get out of that is 18 hours. In your doctrine, if you don't let them see their 18-hour doctrine, they'll keep pushing and keep pushing. So that means we got to know the 12 hours of the day and what happens with the 12 hours of the night. That's why if a man chances, then we're going to get to that one too. Go ahead.
Reading from the book of Matthew in chapter 14, verse 15. And when it was evening.
And when it was what?
Evening. His disciples came to him, saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. But Yeshua said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground.
Right.
And took the 5 loaves.
Right.
And the 2 fishes. And looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake.
Right.
And gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled, and they took up the fragments that remained, 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Yeshua constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone.
Because we have morning, noon, and evening prayers, as well as prayers in the night. So we see that all this activity is taking place right before new day starts. Go ahead.
Verse 24. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night.
In the what?
In the 4th watch of the night.
Did any of y'all know it was the 4th watch of the night? What's the 4th watch of the night?
3 a.m.
Huh?
3 a.m. to 6.
I'm asking y'all.
Divide 12.
Look, we got 12 here. Divide 12 by 3 or whatever it is to get 4 watches in the night. So you got to divide that up.
3 to 6.
3 to 6. So you get in the 4th watch. So it's telling you 4 divided by 12. So every 3 hours must be a watch. So, you know, in the 4th watch, in the final watch. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And in the 4th watch of the night, Yeshua went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Yeshua spake unto them, saying, be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid.
So right here in the 4th watch of the night, when that begins, like saying, 3 in the morning that we would look at it today, by today's clock. 3 in the morning, he walking on the water. That happened at night. There's no way you can call this daylight hours. And what we're talking about is working at night. He said there's no work at night in the sense that we should be on a job at night or something like that other than spiritual work that has to take place. There's going to be a lot of praying because you prayed all the time at night. There's got to be healing, and teaching is the work that must be done on the night hours. Because you still are in the Sabbath day. You can't be doing anything else that's going to cause problems for you when you wake up in the morning. What you going to be doing but sleep all day Saturday morning? Nowhere in the scriptures say on the second half of the Sabbath, you must rest. That's the rest you think you're supposed to be getting? Look, y'all, this is why this world has a thing called Thank God It's Friday. What time does that start?
Friday night.
Huh?
Sunday night, Friday.
It starts at happy hour. And what do they say you can do on Thank God It's Friday at happy hour time? What do you get as a reward? What? 2 for 1, 3 for 1? What's going to happen in that first hour of the Sabbath day?
You're going to be drunk.
Drinking 2 for 1.
Start transgressions.
So at happy hour, right before it gets dark, that's why they call it the happy hour. full of drinks right before it gets dark, you are going to start the Sabbath day lusting after that woman right over there. You're going to plot. If you don't get her, then you're going to go home and you're going to dream about her. And then when you wake up in the morning,
You've already seen it.
that's going to be on your mind all day. And when the sun is up, you're going to go seeking for what you was looking for at happy hour the day before. So you went to sleep with that on your mind? You started a new day in your happy hour, and everybody knows 2 or 3 drinks, the baby fingers stick out, and you are talking naughty nothings at a high level. Walking pigeon toe and talking naughty nothings. Hopefully, before the start of the second half of the 24-hour day called morning and evening. Where we at?
Verse 28.
Yeah.
And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yeshua.
We can hold right there because I'm only going to read 2 more out of this, then I got to hit these 2 in the tree, about the tree. But hit me Deuteronomy 23. And it's about a man chances in the night. We're going to get some understanding on that, y'all. We're going to read 2 more about the tree, y'all. We're going to close out because we got to make mention of some things about the feast days that's coming up. Y'all, move that. How we track? What?
MoonConnection.com.
Okay. So if we get another app, or we see an image of another app, what we got to say?
No.
We have to, y'all. If you get entangled with that and you don't say it, now you bring it to us and I got to say it. But guess when you're going to bring it to us? On the day that the feast day is supposed to happen, or the next day. It's going to create confusion. You're going to feel like I either missed it or I'm not prepared for it to start right here. We got to get on the same page. Whatever you see out there on Facebook, people, whatever they saying, if they come to you or somebody come to you about warring out there, first you got to ask them, what do we teach before I get into your conversation about what's going on out there on Facebook? Ain't nothing we can do about Facebook. What do we teach? And if they say, well, we teach that, so you got your answer, why you come to me? I just want a second witness to make sure we on the same page. But if you entertain that and then you bring it to me and I say, why nobody say nothing about the app? Or what we teach? Didn't even trip off of that. Now we got a whole bottle of hot mess when all we have to do is stick with what we say. Y'all ever heard what's the password? If everybody know the password, you don't let the person come in, they don't know the password, do you? But if you scratching your head what it is, they say it's ookie bookie. Well, I guess so, and you open the door. Deuteronomy 23, y'all, we ain't got long, we finna wrap it up. 23 and 10. And y'all, it's something very important about this is concerning, or we talking about another day. Y'all know some of these topics we go over are lawful, but they're not expedient. This is going to take time. But it's something that you can't get rid of. You can't put how you got to govern a feast day and when you should do it on the back burner. That don't mean you have to become an expert overnight, but you can't let this pass you up and then go tell somebody they shouldn't be doing Christmas. That's easy work. What work are you doing? If they ain't supposed to be doing Christmas, we're supposed to be doing something else. Let's get it. Where we at?
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 10.
What it say?
It says, if there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness that chanceth him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp.
So we said, if any man among you that is not clean by reason of uncleanliness that chances him by night. Anybody got a clue what that means? Or we're talking Chinese hieroglyphics. What does that mean? Any man of you enchanted by the night, and what this is talking about, what makes a man unclean at night, that what comes from him, the only thing that can make a man unclean at night is fluid from his secret area.
Compilation.
It comes from his secret area. If it chance him by night, or if he have a wet dream. I hope the shorties that ain't too, I don't think they know what I'm talking about, but this is what this is talking about. If at night, if at the beginning of the day, if he do this at night, if he is dreaming about something he should not be dreaming about, and he chances in the night, boom, oop, there you go. And you're asleep in your subconscious, watching a movie in your mind, and you do what a man would do in the daylight hours with your mind. Do that make any sense to anybody? Huh? Yes. Okay, so we're seeing a law for what you can do in your sleep. What is that telling us? Not to play the night shady, right? There's no hiding place with the Most High. Let's get some more.
Verse 11. But it shall be when evening cometh on.
When what cometh on?
When evening cometh on.
Right.
He shall wash himself with water. And when the sun is down.
And when the what?
The sun is down.
Right.
He shall come into the camp again.
So when is he allowed back into the camp? But we're talking about the event at the night before.
Right.
Could it have started at 6 p.m. and we already up to the daylight hour? And he show up at work. Look, it's like this. If you are somewhere at the Hashi joint and you getting out there early and you still got the crusties and show up at work, whew, ain't wash yourself. Man, ain't wash yourself. See, you may get into a lot of talk, you know, because you see menstrual scriptures and you say, we'll bring these to the women and we'll make them off limits. But we're talking about a man. If you get up or the night before you were in activity and you ain't took care of that activity with soap and water, you are unclean. Now, how will we know that? I've already ordered black light bond checkers. We're going to have somebody at the door checking. No, you ain't. We can't do that. So who was that on to correct that?
You. Right.
It's up to yourself.
But look, if you saying this, I want to know if we just left out the house early. Them same drawers you had on last night. But when did he become clean again? When what? Because it's another day. You're not unclean forever. You're unclean during that day. And it started at night with your wild dreams.
Listen, you just don't become clean just because it's another night. You still got to wash.
You still have to wash, exactly. Well, great answer, brother.
Yeah.
Great answer. Right. You can't be just standing in another day. Now you took that over to another day.
Right, because now you got your socks and them jeans and this thing going on, man. There's a bunch of nastiness happening. You talking about
What you got there?
So, it happens at night. You go to sleep, wake up the next morning, you wash. Is it that when the day of after you wash, then you wait and unclean until the evening?
Right. See, you're still because blood got on you. And we can't take a chance that you're not following the rules. You have to warn the assembly. And it gets into Leviticus 15 is where the law of this is at. Y'all get heavy into Leviticus 14 and 15, it talks about that. It talks about even if a venereal disease leak out of you. It's the same process, but it says he got to go to the doctor and he has to stay out of that one for 7 days after the cure. Not after he's been cured. He's got to let 7 days pass after the cure, just like the doctor tells you today. Take this medicine for 7 more days after you don't see the symptom anymore. You have to drive it out. And we can't take no chance, because guess what we want to do? They say just take it for 3 days, I should be cool. No. And you still scratching. You got to have that extra days. This is what Leviticus get into. Y'all ain't going to go into it because we got a couple more scriptures to deal with. But this is what's saying took place at the beginning of that last night. And you woke up the next day and you come in the camp and like ain't nothing happened. We don't know. If you ain't changed your drawers, you ain't changed the sheets. Y'all, the law covers every aspect of your life, even when you sleep. Let's get to these last couple, y'all. We're going to close out. Want to get that Deuteronomy 23. Give me Acts 16:25. And then we're going to hit a couple about the tree and why they had to get Christ down. Was it because they had to get him down before the next Sabbath morning, or a man can't hang on the tree until the next day? And y'all, we're going to weigh the odds and see what we come up with this. What moon app are you?
MoonConnection.com.
Anybody trying to question what we asked about when we asked about moon apps? There's moon applications out there to track the new moon because we're into our feast days, our fall feast. We just had the Feast of Tabernacles. Because we put a date out there to the worldwide audience, we have to keep the date that we put out unless we correct and get prepared. But some people have taken off of work. The scripts say take off of work if you can. Because you need not be at work fasting with no food or water for 24 hours. Their cafeteria ain't gonna close. Your neighbor next door to you just eat at the desk next to you, that eat all the time that you say he don't never quit eating. Well, it's gonna get a little bit different from you when you ain't ate after 6 hours.
Right.
Will he become your friend now? That's why it says, if you can, stay at home away from all of the distractions. If you can. But if you can't, that's why we got to promote these feast days early so people can go to work and say, I need this day off. I need this day off. If you don't bring that into the fold, then we're not thinking about nobody else. You're just thinking about yourself. Well, I work when I feel like it. I'm good to go whatever they say come in. They blow the horn, I'm ready. These people ain't ready because they got a regular job that they have to take off. The feast days start for 24 hours. And it don't say they're only going to start on the weekend. If it's the 5th day of the month, the 10th day of the month, that may be a Wednesday or Thursday of this regular calendar week. You have to go to work. If you have to go and ain't had no time to take off, you're going to have to be at work. You're really going to afflict your soul. All day, smiling and not telling nobody you're not fasting for the Lord to get some attention. I ain't eating today. I ain't drinking today. Why? What's wrong? Fasting for the Lord. You know it's the Day of Atonement. Sure is hungry though. You gonna make that a burden for everybody else? You gotta be going, hey, I'm trying to, hey, look, I'm trying to do this, you know, whatever. But you cannot let them see you looking like that feast day is a burden to you. Right. No more can we make it a burden because we ain't on the same page. I prepared for this day, like you said, according to this. Now you're saying it's this day. We got to fix that. And the only way to fix it is if everybody knows what day we're supposed to start. Right? what app we're supposed to be using, that everybody's using the same app so we can correct, like he said in the scripture. And I gave them instructions. We got to have instructions on everything that we do. If we find out about the instruction that night, only if it's a procedural issue. But when you have to plan, y'all, we got to be on one page. Y'all think we want to hear we at the Passover and then somebody gets there? Man, just got a text from Wally Woo Boo. He say, man, the Passover don't start till tomorrow. What are we going to do about these 400 people here? What are we going to do? Y'all, children, adults. Y'all, we're going to start it over. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Right. Let's move on, y'all. These last few. Where we at? Did I call off his name? Acts 16? Acts 25, y'all. And then we're going to get jumped right to the tree. He got them all wrote down for me. Thanks for you, Rod. I just want to hit these last three about taking a man off a tree. Was it because the day was starting, he couldn't send a man hanging on a tree going into the area? We're going to see a consistency image of what we're talking about. And y'all, let the chips fall where they may. But I'm not going to tell you there's heavy contention out there. The IUIC just now come out with a new doctrine that say the day start, the new month start at the full moon. Y'all, all of this is happening around our feast days. If these are appointments we can't miss, do we need all this confusion in the middle of it? Not for everybody that's sitting in here. Let's get some more. Where we at?
Acts chapter 16, verse 25. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed.
What they do at midnight?
They prayed.
So, we up at this time of night? I thought it was just me watching TV. Go ahead.
And sang praises unto God.
What did they do?
They sang praises unto God.
So you see what they're doing at night, and we see a consistent pattern of what goes on at night. If good works can go on in the beginning of the Sabbath night or at night, good works can go on. But what have we turned night into? Sneaking. Shorty's back in class, y'all.
And the prisoners heard them.
Right.
26. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed.
Right.
And the keeper of the prison, awakening out of his sleep, and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword, and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had been fled.
You can hold right there, y'all. Y'all can read the rest of that, but what we was trying to exhibit is that what was happening at midnight. We up at midnight doing good works. Look, good works before you go to sleep make sleep sweet. Bad works at night and then you lay down, it's going to be trouble. Trouble. And then you go get that knock on your forehead like that man on the windshield in Minister Society. You know you done messed up. You know you done messed up. Let's get right into the trees. Deuteronomy 21:22, y'all. We got these three and we be out, y'all. They just one line. 21:22. You say something, sis? What you saying now? Oh, okay.
Deuteronomy 21, verse 22.
And then we're going to get into a couple scripts that see, and the law is the instructions, y'all. Look, y'all, like we may hear a lot of things. Some things are similar to what we may think is the law, but we see that every Adam, Eve, and the serpent was punished all differently for the same event, right? Or the same activity surrounding the event. But why did each one of them get a different punishment? Why didn't all of them get thrown into the same basket? Because it would be what's called syncretism. And that's taking one, what I heard about this one, And I hear about this one, and I mix it together and say, okay, that's the sin. And a major one we talk about is the sacrifice of Molech. And let me explain the sacrifice of Molech. Sacrifice of Molech is a man and a woman would say, we are going to get pregnant. We're going to try, like you see people try to get pregnant, now they do whatever they can to get pregnant. But the deal is to give the newborn baby to Molech and watch it burn in the fire. We planned that, right? That's sacrifice to Molech. That's its customs and its worship. You can't do syncretism to the devil's work. You have to be accurate on it when you want to punish with the law of the Most High. Now, why we say abortion is that we have to be extra careful, because that may be different activity. We didn't plan to get pregnant. Once you start saying, you said you were protected. You said you were protected. You said only the covenant was going in. And now I'm pregnant. Well, how do I know it's mine? Now we're a whole different deal. So we're looking for an out clause. Let's get rid of it. I ain't going to get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. And we're fighting about that. That's not sacrifice to Molech. That's a bad issue that happened, that we wanted to play married and we got caught up with a baby, and now we don't know what we're going to do. And if it's really time to go home and tell them at home, in 9 months we got a surprise coming. Where we at?
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 22. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death.
Worthy of what?
Worthy of death.
So we had death penalties back in the day. Go ahead.
And he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree.
Hang him where?
Hang him on a tree.
Right.
His body shall not remain all night upon the tree.
What shall his body not do?
Remain all night upon the tree.
Right.
But thou shalt in any wise bury him that day.
What day?
That day.
That day. It's saying you can't leave him on there all night, but that day. So if you leave him on there all night, that means that must be another day, right? You must take him, reach him over. We'll see.
For he that is let me start over. He shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him in that day. For he that is hanged is a curse of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. So
right here we see he had to be down that day. You couldn't leave him hanging overnight, which will bring you into the morning of another day. Well, what would be the deal then? If you're talking about this meant sundown, he couldn't stay there all night until the morning light. It would not be stressing sin and death at the beginning of the day, but for consistency's sake. Let's get some Joshua chapter 8, verse 28. Y'all, we got 2 more, y'all. We out of here. We're going to finish up. These last couple of times we got.
It's
right about, we'll see, I wanted to finish up a little early. Got a lot of talking to do. Do it! What happened to you? Move now. Okay. Look, I gave him just a piece up, but he was still short. Moving that, y'all, and the only reason saying is, look, if you see something out on Facebook and somebody brings it to you, first thing to ask is what? Is that what we teach in class? Look, it has to be a reference, because we don't know how the devil plans in these last days. He could come to you and say that this is what's happening, and then somebody got y'all class who's going to make you a hypocrite. This is what you said that's on film, like they're doing Donald Trump now. You say you ain't that person, but this was on film. And not only that, but the words out of his own mouth. And see, I knew she was married. What does that do? By thy own words thou art condemned, right? That's right, sir. He said, but I was going to buy some furniture like I buy every other woman or whatever she wants, because I got stacks on deck. You want to go to IKEA? You want to go to Value City? Some of them other furniture places? I'll pay for it. But I must grab. And then he said, when I see a pretty woman, I just can't get myself. I just got to start getting. That's why I got tic-tac. And you can hear tic-tac box rattling in the background. This ain't like he just talking. He getting ready. And get off the bus and they moving and howling. Y'all, our words are very important. And we got to watch what we say because we get, this is without excuse. We're saying all of our secret words and things that we do in the so-called dark. When in the dark, you should be doing work of the light. Like everything we see Christ doing. Like what we seen Acts 16, we just seen Paul working until midnight. He up teaching scriptures at midnight. Good works though. But then we see Proverbs 7, other side of this. A man walking void, looking down the street and the smell of perfume and Victoria's Secrets everywhere and sexy lingerie hanging out of windows. And he said he's trapped and he's caught in the same night. Where we at? Joshua chapter 8, verse 28.
Joshua chapter 8, verse 28.
Y'all, we ain't got long, just a couple more, y'all. Short.
All right. And Joshua burnt Ai and made an heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai, he hanged on a tree until eventide.
What did he do?
He hanged eventide. And he hanged on a tree until eventide.
See, he hanged these kings under our law. It didn't matter what nation they was from. What did our law say? He can't hang past what? Night. And this is another king. If it's an Israelite king, it's under the law. If it's somebody else, it still has to be under our law because the whole world has to follow this law. That's right. Go ahead, read some more.
And as soon as the sun was down,
as soon as what?
The sun was down,
right?
Joshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city, and raise thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day.
Unto this day. Now that seems like he said it was sundown and he took them down. Was that in the next day? It sounds like that because we got this space in between, but let's get right there, Joshua 10. Just flip right over one chapter, Joshua 10, 26 and 27. And then we're going to see the separation of evening and day because we're talking about the same thing. And not only what they're going to do here, they're going to do exactly what happened with the Christ, what Joseph of Arimathea. Did I say that right? I'm going to say it. Thank you, brother. Did with the body of Christ. And a cake. Go ahead. Read that, y'all. We got number 2 more.
26.
Yeah.
And afterward Joshua smote them and slew them and hanged them on 5 trees.
On what?
On 5 trees.
Right.
And they were hanging upon the trees until evening.
Right.
And it came to pass at the time of the going down of the sun that Joshua commanded. And they took them down off the trees and cast them into the cave wherein they had been hid, and laid great stones in the cave's mouth, which remain until this very day.
So it says at the going, and took them off the trees and cast it into the cave. Hold on, verse 27. It came to pass at the time of the going down of the sun that Joshua commanded them to be taken down. So it wasn't completely dark yet. But he said, command them come down, y'all. This is to match up Matthew 27, 57, y'all. This is the last one. Matthew 27, 57. Well, I gotta have the ending of the matter. So Revelation 21, y'all. That's it. That's it, y'all. Matthew 27, 57. And this is going to compare with where we at right here with Christ on the cross. And y'all, there's a new doctrine going around too, y'all got to be careful of. It's because it's using the word tree. So some say it was hanging on the tree like the slaves were hanging on the tree. You know, all it's talking about is any product, any torture device that's made out of wood is called a tree. When we read Jeremiah 10 to prove that what they were doing Christmas 3,000 years before Christ was born, you read Jeremiah 1 through 4, but if you keep on reading, you'll see that they call a stock a tree too. And a stock is a totem pole. You know, that was the first pole dancing that used to be done. Because it was an idol. It was a totem pole built like a man. Some of them had shapes of men. And women would do the same dancing, the twerking, on that piece of wood that's made like a man. That's what we call a tree.
Wicker tree. Wicker made those two.
That's what was called the totem pole, or that idolatry and pole dancing. $27.57. Let's get it, y'all. Matthew.
The book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 57. When the even was come.
When what was come?
The even was come.
Right.
There came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Yeshua's disciple.
Right.
He went to Pilate and begged the body of Yeshua.
Right.
Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day, that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate.
We can hold up. What I'm trying to establish here is that he came and begged for the body at evening. Because we just read both of Joshua that said a man had to be taken down that's been crucified at evening. The work that they did when the sun set on the Sabbath day, they anointed Christ in his burial clothes. They anointed him with oil, Joseph and Nicodemus. Mary and Martha was going to do it, but they didn't know Joseph and Arimathea. Did I say that right? Arimathea and Nicodemus had already prepared his body in fine white linen because they said, we got to get him down. And they start working throughout the night. Mary them came later on in the first day of the week, but he was down off the cross at that end of the day, like Joshua was informed and instructed. So we see a consistent pattern that they couldn't carry a dead body over into the next day that started at night. We couldn't do that. How we got to take this problem over is with good works throughout the night. And that was to get him ready for his burial, put him in clean white linen, wrap him up, and put him in that cave, and they got him down before nightfall. So y'all, this is a consistency pattern that we're trying to prove from a perspective on why we, as a camp, say the day starts at sundown, a new day. Because of the cleaning rituals, because of this, because of the Feast of Tabernacles that are coming up and the Day of Atonement, from evening until evening. You have to start this fast at this time, and then it goes to this fast, and that's when it seems like it's going, that's when you get inside of 2 days of fast going into the next. The Passover does the same thing. At evening on the 14th, and on the 15th, we start the Day of Unleavened Bread. The Passover between the Feast of Unleavened Bread is about 35 minutes. And that's a consistent pattern. Did we finish that? Last one, Revelation chapter 21, verse 22. Y'all know this one, but y'all gonna have to get this down, y'all. We're going to say we're going to do feast days. You know why? Because if we don't, we're going to have some problems.
Psalm 19 is the closing prayer.
Y'all, and what it is, I don't think it's malicious. I think people are just trying to play their part. You know, man, I'm trying to help the body out. Well, there's a way for us to make sure you're not plotting on us or playing games with us. And that's somebody that asks you, what app did you use to get this day? If you're scared to ask, then you have respect the person. I don't care. You need to ask me. You need to ask Malachi. You need to ask Yaki. You need to ask, what's your name? You need to ask Ariel. You need to ask Uriah. You know, you need to ask. You need to ask bro over here. You need to ask Aria. You need the Hebrew men, brothers in the back. You need to ask them no matter who it is. If it sounds as a controversy, man, such and such man said such and such. What app is he using? I didn't ask him. Go back and ask him and come back and call me when you go ask him. Call me when you go ask him. If you don't go ask him, that may mean you're trying to put me against him. Or you're trying to prove him wrong. I don't know what you're doing. What I need to know is, are you listening at class? Do you know where your easy out is? Right there. I can prove it from there. That eliminates all the work. You ain't got to get me or draw nobody else into it. I'm not going to draw you in. But if you don't ask me, if you don't ask nobody else, it ain't their fault, y'all. The body has got a cold again on the feast day. And who can eat with a cold? Who can go out to the country buffet with sinus problems and eat comfortably? How you going to chew and breathe at the same time? Your nose stopped up. How you going to sleep at night with me? Yo, we can't keep giving the body a cold. It's going to wear out. Revelation chapter 22, where we at?
Book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 22.
Yes, sir.
And I saw no temple therein.
What do you see?
No temple therein.
Right.
For the Most High Yah Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it.
Right.
And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon.
So we see that we're back into which light? Are we back at the beginning? It said it didn't need no sun or no moon, but we got what we got up in there? Let's read some more, we'll see.
To shine in it. For the glory of Yah did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
So what is the light without the sun and the moon? Right. So y'all ain't got to be scared to ask it. All we said is this was at the beginning. It was the light before the sun and the moon. It ended with the same path. There's no need for the sun or the moon. It's the same light in Genesis 1 and 1, all the way up to day 3, before day 4 started, when the sun and the moon was created. There was light in the heavenly realm. This is a city coming from the heavenly realms that don't need lights of the sun or the moon because they were made to shine on the earth. This is coming from heaven. And heavenly beings have it lit up. So there's no need for the sun and the moon. And the city is just like the beginning. So what we see is, when we see Matthew 24, it's coming out of tribulation. And when the Antichrist has been on the throne. So it's coming out of a dark time. And light explodes and demises darkness. For how long? Forever. Satan going to be tormented. How long did it say? Forever. So what we going to have on the earth forever after that? Light. But we have to get through darkness before we get to the light. Right. Matthew 24, the sun and the moon going to be blocked out. It's a dark day. Joel, the sun is going to be dark, and then we're going to see the light. Noah, days of Noah, it's dark, and then we're going to see the light. Revelation, it's going to be dark, and we're going to see the light. Consistent pattern of coming out of darkness to the light to live forever. But you got to go through the night. It has to end where it starts. Y'all, with that, we're going to close out. Anybody got any questions or concerns? on what we're going over or what we're talking about. I know it was one of those classes that really made your wheels turn. But y'all, when you read Leviticus 23 and it says you must keep these feasts. It ain't you can if you feel like. Must keep these feasts, and you must know how to keep them and when to keep them. If somebody else come with another doctrine, like, brother, let's run over that and look at that scripture you read. Now give me yours and let's see who has the consistent pattern. That's the only way. One is going to be spiritual and one going to be carnal, more led by the sun and the moon. And if you're only using half the clock, it's going to be a problem. Because he says he was in the belly of Jonah and he's going to be in the grave. How long? And what did he reference to? Jonah in the belly of the whale. 3 days and 3 nights. Something is happening at night in the night watch, y'all. We got to know that activity and prayer got to take place in the night watch. That's why you have to pray before you go to sleep. Or your dreams going to be loose and out of control.